Gather around, freaks! It's Thursday. A Thursday night's is a night where we light an internet fire and we sit around and we tell internet fire stories. And also, it's gather around your internet radio. And once again, it's we're finishing the month of women times. Nope. Okay, it's time for hey. Did you see this one?
In a world where society tells you to doubt your strength, question your intelligence, and dim your light, we search for voices to tell our stories. Voices to empower us,
uplift us, and keep us heard by the masses. These are the voices of powerful, resilient, and talented women who aren't afraid to speak up and speak loudly. Women who teach us to be brave, to be vulnerable, and to believe in ourselves. So, Hey, Did You See This One? Invites you to Feminist Masterpiece Theater.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Hey, Did You See This One? Episode 142, I think it's what we're at. Yes, that's right.
I don't like this energy at all.
This is somehow worse than last week's energy.
Episode 141 of Hey, Did You See This One? It's also season 2, episode 41, which is doesn't really mean much, but I like to demarcate seasons, as you'll find out very soon. That's a message for future me. Hello and welcome. We are wrapping up Feminist Masterpiece Theater. We are, of course, talking about the 2022. I didn't do well, I don't think, but it should have. I think it should have done much better than it did. But Turning Red, which was, of course, filmed here live in person in Toronto. It's a live action movie. It just looks weird.
Sure is.
That's not true. I'm just trying to find my footing this week, folks. It's been another long week. I'm going to be weird. And this time it's not because my brain is dead. It's because I'm very tired. That's cool. We're all adults. We get tired from time to time. But this week we're going all the way back to when we were teens and tweens. So I would like to first announce that my name is Jason R. Phillips, and I'm joined as always by my pleasant co-host, Stephen Reginald Waters.
That's me.
He's
Reginald Waters.
He's also got an R for the middle of his name. He doesn't.
No.
We are, of course, joined by our resident co-host for the month, Noel K., who is...
Hello. I will get myself visible in a moment.
Who is guilty by association. And please welcome back to the show the available Cass Hodgins.
I think that's my favorite intro yet, Jason. Thank you so much. I love that.
We called you and you were ready to go. No, that's not. That's you knew about this for a while. You picked this movie. You helped sort of pick some movies for this month. You actually included your voice for the intro, which thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah. That was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was you. I appreciate that. Yes, as I said, hey, Dribble said, hey, Steve, you want to do some chat there? We got people chatting at us, telling us all about it. Ayo. That's right. We're talking about Turning Red this week. It is an animated feature by Pixar that takes place in the city that the four of us are all in, Toronto. And it's sort of
way to dox us.
I'm sorry. We're doxxed now. We're gonna get doxxed by the internet. They're gonna come find us.
Wait till I start reading everybody's mailing address.
No.
I have it all right here.
I have all
Oh,
your
boy.
SID numbers and your credit card information and your house addresses. And I'm gonna read it. Nope. So yeah, we're talking about this movie this week. I hid the podcast layout. So what's next? I would like to first and foremost tell you all that it's time for a brief history.
Is it though? A brief history.
Did I introduce the guests and did they get applause? Because the next thing on my list is.
Did you ask me to do the comments? Yes, it's a different tab, so I have to go into a different tab to do that. So I wasn't.
Oh, you're stalling.
Yeah, I was like,
You've seen me stall on this. You've seen me stall on this show a lot. If I'm just talking and you can see my arm moving, it's because I'm trying to bring something up. Yeah. So, as always, it is the task of our guests to go first with their brief history. Since Noel has been on every single week this month and is apparently still trying to get their life situated, Cass, why don't you give us your brief history for Turning Red?
Will do. Immediately when you say that, I get cat hair in my eyes. So 1 second. It's okay. I'll suffer. So I first watched this movie during the pandemic with my partner. And I remember hearing about it coming out. I was like, oh, this looks kind of cute. I'll watch it eventually. I like Pixar movies and, seems like a good time. And then I started seeing all of this like controversy and like all these older white men, no offense, older white men really hating this movie and being like, this is dumb and I don't like this. And then I was like, I am going to watch this movie today because that makes me feel like it's probably for me. And it was incredible. I think I might have bruised my partner's rib because every like 5 seconds watching this film, I was like, hey, that was me. Hey, that was me in like the early 2000s. That's exactly what happened in my life. So it was really good. It was really relatable. I always cry a bunch, and it's lovely. So that's it. Super brief.
Fantastic. What? Oh, hey, there's Noel.
Oh, now we know what you were doing.
Sneaky.
Your Maple Leaf Toronto memorabilia on. I should say that I'm kind of a fraud. I'm not actually from Toronto or Ontario even. I'm from Halifax originally, but I've lived here for a decade. So it's like, I'm an expat. That said, Noel, why don't you give us your brief history with this film?
So I watched it the day that it came out on streaming. I was very stoked for this movie. It's set in Toronto. The last time that happened, it was Scott Pilgrim, and that was the coolest damn thing in the world. Other than like Canadian productions, anyway, whatever. I love this movie. I think it's great. I grew up in Toronto. Like, I went to school where she lives. Like, I can't tell you how right there I lived when I was a kid. I was also about 13 in 2002. So like this movie is like tailor-made for me. Just me.
Only you.
And I still actually live very, very close to where that is. But yeah, it all is super familiar. And the backgrounds are like memories from everything. And I have bones to pick with some of the things. But yeah, it's very cool. And there's some like little jokes about restaurants that used to be there with slightly different names. Yeah.
The Daisy Mart. There's still Daisy Marts everywhere.
The Daisy Mart. No, there's a Daisy Mart in like Mississauga. And like that's it.
They all gone now. Is there not one in Toronto? I swear there's one in Toronto. Maybe it's changed.
Is
that
not
here?
Where is it? Like Cabbagetown area. I'm pretty sure there's one down there.
Sherburne and Church, something like that.
Is that the Chinese grocery?
Wait, those are this way.
No, it's just like a Max Milk or like a Hasty Market. It was just a type of.
Because down by that venue that's like on the water, I know that right around the corner there's like a Chinese grocery store as well that I'm pretty sure is a franchise. So
There's a
might be-
Daisy Mart at 272 Dundas Street East.
Mm.
So I think that's the one that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
Cass.
super east, and that's also Dundas.
So back in the
fantastic.
day, sorry.
Uh-oh.
So at Daisy Mart, they used to sell these tubs of ice cream, and in the summer they would have this promotion where you could also get a little shovel. So the tub of ice cream like had a little handle and could be
I
a pail.
remember this.
So I would go to the Toronto Island after eating the ice cream and then make little sand castles with my.
Your ice cream bucket.
Mm.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I'll go next, I suppose.
Go next, Steve. It's you. You're up.
Yeah, I also watched this movie when it came out on streaming pretty soon after. It couldn't have been like more than a couple of weeks after, just because I am a fan of animation, and it was the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, I love cartoons. And I am always willing to give anything a chance when it's animated, because usually they're tailor-made to make you feel a lot of emotions, and I like that. I like a movie that pulls me along emotionally, and this movie did not disappoint. I also grew up in this area, sort of.
Lies.
I didn't grow up in this as you did, Noel, but
Lies.
that I have been to Toronto many times as a child. I live here now. I live pretty close to you, Noel, actually, so I can see the CN Tower from my house.
Doxed.
Figure out where I live in like a 500 square kilometer radius.
I can see your house from my house.
I can see my house from your house. Yeah, not a huge history. The movie's not that old, but it was really nice to have something set with characters that were the age of me when I was that age. It's really interesting to see a bunch of technology and cell phones and Tamagotchis and all sorts of stuff that I'm familiar with. It's odd. It's like, who is this movie for? People in their like middling to late 30s? Like, I guess so, because that's who these kids are. And the choice to set it in that time is strange to me, but it's also really charming and sweet and nice. And it's like watching something set in the 80s, in the late 90s, but we're now just fresh out of a pandemic, or in a pandemic at the time. So it was like really nice to go back in time for a little while there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my brief history.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as you are, but the difference is I fully intended on watching this when it came out. But see, me and my wife have this thing where some movies, if I watch without her, she'll get mad at me. But then we just will never watch the movie because we never have the time to sit down and watch a full movie.
Just lie.
And
just lie.
I've tried it and it feels
you
so
lie
bad.
to your wife. You
ever sit down with your partner and rewatch an episode that you've already watched and you're
no,
like, wow,
I think that's sacrilege. I would never do that.
What a twist.
my key to happiness is that Trevor and I have absolutely no overlapping interests. And he doesn't like movies and I love movies, but I don't have time to watch movies. So I make him watch the movies that I want, and then that's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, this was one of those ones where Madison is sort of like you guys, where she grew up in Toronto, or she grew up in Brampton, would come to Toronto all the time.
Like, me and your wife went to the same school together. I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's so cute.
So many years before I met Jason. That's how I met Jason. Yeah.
Small world.
20 years probably.
Yeah.
But
small world after all.
I'm gonna dox you and I'm gonna tell everybody how old you are, and so that's gonna be that's gonna be the riff.
As soon as the internet figures out how old I am, I melt into a puddle.
Yeah.
It's like the picture of Dorian Gray. I just immediately age to look how old I am.
So this is like the third episode Dorian Gray has come up.
I love Dorian Gray.
Has it always been Stephen bringing it up? Because
it was B at one point, and then oh my god, sorry, but
Dorian Gray is my Roman Empire. Gotta say.
I mean, yeah, it's probably the book I've read the most. It's also very short, but also Oscar Wilde is like a really flowery, interesting writer, so I like reading it. It's not a great book, but I enjoy it.
As a history degree carrying, university educated having person, the Roman Empire is my Roman Empire.
Whoa.
I'm watching Rome right now, and the show's pretty interesting as far as explaining everything pretty accurately.
Oh god.
So the show Rome is my Roman Empire currently.
Rails people.
Okay,
but that's a different podcast.
Also the fact No, the fact that you think of the Roman Empire so often has brought into question whether or not you are a true feminist.
I'm a history student. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, listen. Trails, people. It's been a long time since we had to yell that into the microphone, but I will say that this was a movie that I was meant to watch in 2022, but I watched it this week. And while I didn't live in Toronto, what movie does this take? What year does this take place? Like
2002.
2002.
Yeah, I would have been like 17, but
God.
right, but in 1998, 99, all of these same trends were the same when I was 13, 14, right? Yeah. So not a lot changed between 1998 and 2002, except Slipknot came out and kind of changed my view on metal.
That's when you became a man.
That's when I became a man. I was like, I felt the hate rise up in me. But that said, yeah,
karaoke night, but we'll do it.
Or whatever the music is.
Christ on a cracker. That said, I'm gonna just say that said, and ayo every time I need to get back on the rails. But I watched it, I liked it. The climax of the movie made me get. I had frisson, which is kind of like your eyes climaxing, tears out of them. Goosebumps.
Emotions.
And the part 2 where she's reaching up and the pop star's reaching down and they do like the painting of God and David kind of scene, that made me like, there's so many little bits in this movie that like this is one that I just want to throw on. It's going to be in that list of movies. I just want to put it on and just kind of have it on the background. Exactly. I am a fan of Four Town. And
I thought that said alt-right for a second.
No. Wait, I'll pick a different one just to make sure that doesn't happen.
A new podcast we're launching called Alt-Right, and we're going to tell you the truth.
Oh, God.
Well, thank you for your brief histories. Why don't we talk about the director? I think this director we should actually talk about.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit. Sound. Speed. Action!
This is
let's talk about the 2 things she's directed, this movie and a short film.
Wow. That said, she's like a senior creative kind of director person for Pixar, and she's had her hands in a lot of projects, including Toy Story 4, Soul, Luca, Inside Out, Elemental, and Onward.
Pretty much everything Disney has made in the last like 10 years.
I think
the thing that I've kind of read with this movie though is what Steve was sort of saying in his brief history, where this came out and all the white men got mad because it wasn't. I don't even know.
Funny to me that
it wasn't about white men.
Yeah, wait a minute. You're telling me a bunch of white men in their 40s got mad about a movie about a Chinese girl who lives in Toronto who's 13 years old going through a difficult time, which is puberty.
They're like, I'm mad. I
crazy.
Can't relate to this.
Yeah,
You're like,
crazy. You can't relate
that's
to
fine.
That.
You don't have
this
to.
Movie's woke. It's like, no, it's just a very specific story that has nothing to do with you.
And it's very real.
Yeah.
Who wrote on Cinema Score, he wrote this like absolute like this movie can't appeal to people because it's so like granular, and like they took it down, apologized for it, and then that same clown apologized for writing that. Like, and then I was looking at like the bad reviews, mostly they're white guys, and then like everyone else, and like it's depressing because hashtag not all men. But
this movie,
boy, do they ever make it hard sometimes?
It is like a coming of age story for like teenage girls, but it also feels like it represents what it might feel like to be a person of color also in Toronto.
Maybe
in a you know
a
what
little
I mean?
bit. I think it also like caters to a very specific type of parent, which I did not have, but I had many friends who did have moms like this, who were extremely overprotective, could not believe that their child would do anything wrong, and it's always got to be the friend group, right? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, it's a whole bunch of specific things, but they're not completely unrelatable to people who are our age as well. Like I can't. It's so hard to listen to things like that because you're just like, if you didn't connect to it, you didn't connect to it.
You mean you've never turned into a panda?
Yeah, exactly.
Happens to me all the time.
I'm concerned that this is Pixar saw how this movie did, and then they were like, "Oh, we can't try anything fun and different and interesting anymore. Well, let's see what's happening in that teenage girl's mind with all the stereotypes."
I don't think that's the case. I think that they're smart enough to understand that this movie came out during the pandemic, and
yeah, that's
a good a hold of it. Who were
and
not.
Soul and Luca also had the same kind of like semi shitty and this was the second most streamed thing on Disney and like in the Nielsen homes in 2022. 2002.
2002 Jamil here. Jamil was on one of our posts. Jamil was saying that like it's coming back to theaters, or it came back to theaters recently
in February. Yeah, it was in everything that got Luca, Soul, and this movie all got theater releases February, March, and April, I believe, this year.
Soul looks interesting. It's about a jazz man, right?
I didn't like it as much as this one. Tell you that for free, but it's good. I liked it.
What else? What will you tell us for money?
Well, let me hold on. How much you willing to pay?
Yeah.
Before we go on, can I just say that I am an elitist asshole, and I have always been that about the city of Toronto. It like if you live like my parameters for the city of Toronto are the old city of Toronto. If you don't live in the area that was Toronto when William Lyon Mackenzie was getting his types thrown into Lake Ontario, then you don't live in Toronto. The way that I say it, and you do live in Toronto, is if you stand like this and the CN Tower isn't
maybe don't do that hand
yeah. If the CN Tower isn't bigger than your hand, you don't live in Toronto. Like you have to like face it up and point it. That's how you know you live in Toronto. Can you see the CN Tower when you stand outside?
I wasn't going to bring this up till later. I wasn't going to bring this up till later, but I saw a TikTok that was like people who see New York in movies, their reaction.
Jeez.
People who see Toronto in movies, their reaction. That's Toronto, and that's true. That's what you're all like, and that's what I'm like too.
It's so true. But like, I also grew up in downtown.
Watching The Boys the whole time. I'm like,
growing up downtown is something not a lot of people do. But when I was a kid, everyone I knew was from downtown Toronto because we all lived within like footsteps of our. Like, I moved to Pape and Danforth and was like, I'm in the other side of the universe. Like,
it does feel very different. Like within the city itself, like you forget how big it is until you're like in different neighborhoods. I usually like kind of stay where I'm living for the most part, unless I have to traverse. But I'm like, whoa, this is the same city. Doesn't feel like it all the time from like neighborhood to neighborhood. It just grew so fast. So every neighborhood
even
is
just like north of, not to get too geographical, but even just like
north of Bloor. Sorry.
I was going to say north of College. Even just north of College, it just changes. And I'm like, this is a different place. I'm not familiar anymore.
I live in
like
Weston.
I've always joked, like I couldn't have lived more downtown. Like I grew up in like Chinatown and Kensington Market in that area. And then I moved to Yonge and Dundas, basically like 10 steps from the Eaton Center. Like I was downtown.
All right, we get it. You're from Toronto.
I'm from Toronto, man.
I had to go. So I live in Weston and I had to go to the venue History. And it took me 3 days to get there. It took me 3 days to traverse the entire city. But seriously, it took like an hour of transit to get all the way over there because it's I'm in the deep west and it's in the deep east. And to get over there, it's like minimum an hour and 15 minutes. And to think about how big a city is, that it takes that long to get across it, it's insane.
This is a crazy conversation about the director.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
right.
No, I derailed because I just needed to preface this with, if it gets annoying when I'm like, no, if you're from Toronto, then that's just who I am. I'm very sorry. I'm also not a Leafs fan, but I own this. So.
Right.
I'm an elitist asshole is going to be clipped and rubbed in your face.
I mean, like, I definitely did not grow up in Toronto, but I grew up.
Sure didn't.
And I live there, and I live here now, though. I live here right now.
No, that's the thing. Like, well, everyone's welcome once you're in, but if you what gets Torontonians, like this is what kills us, is that people from Oshawa will come in and be like, Toronto's disgusting. I love my little fucking crack shack. And then if somebody asks them, where are you from?
I found the elitism.
Oh no. you broke Cass's connection.
Oh no.
Steve had to leave. Oh my god.
Okay, let me finish my sentence. Oh no, everyone's gone. What happened?
Okay, so Jamil now is calling me out for saying that Weston is the deep west. I could be deeper west, I suppose.
Can I finish my sentence?
Yeah. Sorry.
Then when people ask them, where are you from? They say, I'm from Toronto. And I'm like, what? That's what makes Torontonians go absolutely bananas. So like, I don't care if you moved here last week. Just lay some respect on it and you're one of us.
You know what also makes Toronto people go bananas? When you ask them if they're from Toronto.
That doesn't bother me.
I have well, you're from Brampton. Okay, the other thing is somebody was like, well, if I write Toronto on my envelope, I can write Toronto or Etobicoke and it'll still get to me. And I'm like, you know how I know I live in Toronto? I can only write Toronto or it won't get to me.
I can write York on mine because I technically live in York, but...
Okay.
Hi, Cass. Welcome back.
I got booted randomly. It was like instant karma for calling Noel out and being like, elitism. And then I was like, I'm gone.
I found the elitas.
The power of my hatred boosted everyone off.
Funny. I was like, oh no.
Okay. I'm going to get a drink. Calm down.
Okay.
I love that.
Can I ask a question to you guys? Is this movie autobiographical? Because the Domee Shi was born in 1989. Which means that she would be about the correct age in 2002 that the characters are.
I think I was learning like about the director talking about this movie specifically, and she was like, "Yes, it is my life, but it's also the lives of like the girls that I knew. Like it's kind of a mismatch of a bunch of different experiences, but like also still hers too."
It's heavily inspired by that area, but she's also said in Bao and in this, the mom character is very deeply based on her mother. And one of the things was she didn't intend to kind of like stereotype or create like this is how every Chinese mother is. She was really, it's like more of a love letter to her mother.
Cool. Yeah. I get that vibe. It felt very autobiographical. And Tim thinks that we say Tirana, which isn't inaccurate, but it's like when people call Chicago.
Chicago.
I've heard people call it Chicago, and I was like, what place are you talking about?
Chicago and Illinois.
Illinois. Hey, I'm from Illinois. I want to also say that I didn't get around to watching it, but there is a sort of making of behind the scenes with the director on Disney Plus as well. I just kind of ran out of time, but check that out because you'll probably get all the questions answered here that Noel isn't yelling into their microphone. So, sorry, don't go. You've got me energy this week. It's uncanny.
It's getting worse and worse every week.
Well, you get a nice long break after this week of this marathon. Now you know what it's like to be me and Steve and put on this carnival every week.
I don't mind it. Did anyone watch Bao?
No. Is it like a short film style?
It is an Academy Award-winning short film.
Is it like
I've heard it's incredible, but I never got to see it.
It's a whole 7 minutes long.
Okay.
And so it is it's like computer animated Pixar cartoon. It's actually like stylistically really similar to Turning Red, kind of unsurprisingly.
Oh wait, I have seen it.
It's about a Chinese mother who is making dumplings, and the dumpling turns into a baby, and then it kind of follows her raising the dumpling baby, and then having a
maybe I have seen
the dumpling baby wants to strike out on its own, and then I won't spoil the ending, but like
they get like really like beautifully like artistic, almost like painted vibes in it near the end, or am I thinking of a different short film?
I mean, the way that it's animated, like the food is beautifully animated and it's got this like kind of sheen to it. But yeah, I cried.
That sequence when the dad is cooking, was it kind of like that?
So good.
Yes. Yes,
okay.
It was very much like that. Honestly, everyone, let's all just boot off of this and go watch Bao.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody, pause the episode. Well,
no.
it's
But
live.
you can see, like, you can draw a line from that mom character in Bao to this movie. Like, the themes are very, very similar. And it's just like, it's very heartbreaking, very heartwarming.
Fantastic.
Heartwarming as well.
Heartwarming because
My
I'm from the
heartworms.
East Coast. Okay.
My heartworms like this one.
Wait, I watched Bao. What did it say?
Jamila is collects.
Oh, exclusive figure. Oh, that's
That's
cool.
very cool.
Yeah, he's got a lot of figures.
a lot of figures.
All
I'm
right.
envious, actually. Yeah. So let's have some good director talk. Why don't we?
Sorry. She's also the first female woman director of a short film, and the first like single only woman directed this. No man was holding her hand. Feature animated in Pixar history, because the previous one
That's
would have been
crazy that this is the first. I don't love that. I mean, it's a great movie, and I love that it happened, but I cannot believe that that's the first.
Well, Brave had
Wow.
Brave had a lady who was the director, but then there was absolute catastrophe with the production for that movie.
Yeah.
So it was co-directed, but like basically the story that the original director did wasn't put out, and she's spoken very candidly about it, and it's one of those
Good.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was it? It starts with an L. The guy who was there who got canceled afterwards. He was the head of Pixar for the longest time.
Oh yeah, I don't remember,
I
but
forgot about that.
I do remember all of the controversy surrounding Brave. and how she
Yes.
was- yeah.
So this is one of those
John
those
Lasseter.
Lasseter, that's his name. Yeah, so some of the bullshittery amongst that. So that could have been cool. I mean, I like Brave, but it's like and then Frozen was also co-directed.
Right.
But that's Disney. So this would have been Pixar, so my bad.
No, it's really cool. Did not know.
Well,
Go ladies.
making history.
Before we move on, that's good though. Good. Cancel John Lasseter. He sounded like a real prickhead. I want to say that I don't even like that we named him. Honestly, this movie made.
I'm sorry.
I did it.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I did it.
Jason's the one who named him, so
Yes.
it's fine.
I'm apologizing. Please don't cancel me for the 141st time. The budget for this movie was 175 million. It only returned 25.5 million at the box office because it, it's
Didn't
only been in the
release.
It's
Yeah.
only been in the theater a couple times.
That's so weird that it didn't make money when it wasn't released in a wide release.
No, you're too spicy. You're too spicy.
We'll see what happens in February. Hopefully, it makes back some of that money.
I'm sorry, no, come back. Be spicy. It's fun.
It is weird that they don't like integrate the numbers that they make off of streaming, because I'm sure that this movie has probably been watched a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand too, like it's a different way of looking at numbers, right? Like it's,
yeah.
I think it would be kind of a thing where they'd have to sit down and be like, okay, what is the actual equivalent of this success to what we usually do in theaters? And then how do we give that to the public and make it make sense? Because some people would be like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And you're like, okay.
They're figuring out how to do that now. That's like the whole thing about streaming is like the production companies are all like, well, how do we gauge this in terms of a dollar figure? Like how much money are we making off of individual projects? How do we know how much money to give to projects based on the money that's returned? But now that they're doing advertising on pretty much every streaming service, it'll be a lot easier for them to track that kind of stuff.
For sure.
I think
Which I don't
fundamentally
love,
too, the issue is that a lot of streaming services traditionally operated at a loss, and only recently have they been like, oh, we need to make money now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that we have ads, and Amazon is particularly bad, where it'll be like, pay one time so we don't have to give you ads, but it shows that ad at the beginning of everything you watch, and then some things just have ads anyway.
Yeah, and then
I
2
will
years
say,
from
I
now
just-
they're gonna add ads again. They'll be like,
Yeah,
hey, another
exactly.
premium for more ads.
We're
I just
8
recently
seconds away
downloaded
from-
Crave because I wanted to watch Dark Side of the Ring really, really badly. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. And it was like, oh, the $10 a month subscription will have ads, but like, whatever. I was like, that's okay. I can deal with some ads. 3 episodes in, I was like, I might have to pay the premium because like every 15 minutes, it was like like a lot of ads, like a full commercial break from like
It's just
back
like
in the day
watching
cable.
Tubi.
It's like, what is
Yeah.
happening? And I'm paying $10 for it. Like, okay.
That's how I feel about Sportsnet. Don't even get me started.
Fair.
Yeah, I would never watch like Monday Night Raw or any wrestling live on TV because of the way that they monetize it. Like an episode of Raw is 3 hours on cable, but if you take out all the commercials, it's like 2:15, which is too much. It's 45 minutes of commercials. I'm not going to.
I hate to do it, but rails, everybody. We're talking about streaming services right now. We don't need to talk about that.
I didn't start this one.
I'm not blaming you.
That might have been me.
Not me.
Listen, why don't we talk about?
Move into the movie itself.
Yeah, let's go to the body.
The body of the episode?
The body of the episode.
That's how we have to do it from now on, where you ask a question and then you tell us.
All right. So the movie Turning Red. Noel, do you want to give us a brief synopsis about what this movie is about?
It'll be off the top of my head, so it's going to be bad. Meilin Lee, Meilin Lee is a 13-year-old Chinese Canadian girl who is living in the heart of actual Toronto, and she's it takes place in 2002. So there's boy bands and there's all of the things there. So she's a huge fan of these boy bands. She has this incredible friend group. And then one day she has a sexual awakening, basically, and turns into a red panda. And she soon finds out that that's actually something that's been handed down through the women in her family. They all turn into red pandas. They've got to seal it away so that it doesn't like take over, because the more the panda is out, the stronger it gets and the less likely she is to be able to live a normal existence. It's very shameful. She has to hide it. That's the whole thing. But she really wants to go to the Four Town concert. Shenanigans ensue. And then she ends up in a showdown with her mom, who is also a red panda, and everything winds up okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her mom turns into Panda Godzilla at the end. It's really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Kaiju version. This movie is one of those movies, as everybody knows who's been watching this show for the last nearly 4 years. I love movies that genre bend. And this movie has everything. You know, it's a comedy, it's a family comedy, it's like just a straight up like there's stuff in here, like I classify it as one of those movies that like a Toy Story, where like it could be for kids or just for family, but there's lots of adult jokes in it. But then also it's a little bit of a superhero movie, and it's a little bit of a like monster movie,
and a bit of an anime.
And a bit of an anime.
There's
like a lot of an anime.
It's a lot of bit of an anime, yeah.
I know the director too was really influenced by Sailor Moon. Like that was a really, really heavy influence. So like when you see like all those like very like big anime eyes and like just like adorable little like quick cuts, I'm like, yeah, that feels like Sailor Moon. And also like a lot of things that we watched in that era, right? Like we still had our superhero movies, we had our anime, we had our comedies, and like kind of like maybe a little bit more slapstick. And it feels like the whole movie is like I got into like a hot tub time machine and went back and was like, oh, I'm here. This is exactly what it was like.
It also feels like a big kind of soup of a lot of influence from different animes as well. It's not, you can't really pin down one particular anime that is influencing it.
The mom looks like Sailor
visually,
Moon.
I
Visually,
mean.
The kids feel like almost like maybe Wallace and Gromit. I was saying a lot, well, I was thinking this a lot, that this could be a Leica movie. It's got the same energy as a Leica movie. It's just not stop motion animation.
It's not as depressing as a Leica movie.
It's not about the macabre.
I would say that this movie is kind of maybe an allegory, a metaphor, an analogy for Toronto itself, which is so multicultural and is a salad, not a melting
That's very
pot
true.
of all.
It was
kinds
really
of
nice too
different
to
things.
see all like the kids, like everybody was from a different background, and that is Toronto. We have people from everywhere here. Like you don't like walk down the street and everybody looks the same. Like you're like, oh, okay, and we're all
That
a
was
big
my
family.
friend
It's
group.
awesome. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, even growing up in Brampton, it was very multicultural as well. So it's more accurate to what my childhood was like than a lot of movies from my actual childhood, where it was just like, this is what high school is like. Everybody's white. There's one black kid and maybe an Asian kid, and that's it. Whereas like, no,
I grew up in London, Ontario, so it was a little bit more like that.
Right. Well, I also knew lots, even just like one city over. it was like that, like just a little bit further north, and everything was just completely homogenous, and it like within like a 10-minute drive as well. But yeah, the closer you get to Toronto, the more accurate it becomes for this
The
movie.
better. Yes.
God damn it. I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but yeah. So when I guess I shouldn't have said soup. I should have said salad. I think salad is more accurate. But
Because
I'm
you
talking.
can still see all the different parts of the salad.
That's true. Yeah. And I was referring more to the animation style, because you get a lot of like Astro Boy and Speed Racer and Sailor Moon, and the fights are reminiscent of Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, and like you can really kind of see bits and pieces where the animators weren't like, let's just emulate this one style. They're like, no, let's just take a little bit of everything and mix it all together, and we'll create something a little bit more unique feeling.
Can I ask you a question? I was asking Steve. Steve doesn't really. He's not really an anime person, but I know that you are. Right?
Dabbled at one point.
Here and there. I've seen you cosplay. I would like to know if you know the character I'm talking about when I say it's like a little boy from like the 80s, early 90s who has the same like lips as May. Do you know that the character I'm talking about? If I say that, because if you
who has the same lips as
you
May?
know, like kind of like the Wallace and Gromit mouth.
Jason has conjured an image in his head of who May looks like, and he can't figure it out.
And I can't figure out the name, and searching it doesn't really return anything because there were a lot of iconic 80s and 90s anime boys, So anyway, if you don't know, that's fine. I just wanted to just run it by you. Maybe, Cass, do you know? Did you hear that last part?
No, I got booted again. I don't know what's happening.
Sorry,
it might be a struggle bus on my end,
fine.
but I'll keep coming back. So
yeah,
we'll patch you in seamlessly in post.
Oh
wait, this is live.
Another job for you, Jason.
I mean, it does. There's a lot of like Ponyo, like the Miyamoto kids.
Miyazaki is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
The face shapes are a lot like
Ponyo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, like especially when they have like little kid characters who are overly sort of like babyified or whatever. They're very cute and round.
More Totoro, less Nausicaa in the Wind,
Yeah.
Very different.
Well, even I mean, there are moments like when she's turning into a panda where I'm like, oh, this is Totoro. She's in Totoro mode right now. Like especially when she's more docile and cute looking, and as opposed to when she's angry. Oh my God, your dog! It's a cat. Your cat turned into a dog. What's happening?
There's also. Yeah. There's an interesting thing that I don't know if you clocked during this, but she gets before she gets her red panda, she's smaller, and then she has a bit of a growth spurt. I think that might have been intentional.
And the red hair.
Red hair, yeah. But I think that might have been like an intentional, like we're going to show this person age sort of in real time, because when you get hit with puberty, you start to grow rapidly, and this can be seen when you see shows that have a kid in them, like TV shows,
and then
they come back from the summer, and they're like, "Hi, Mr. Wilson, I'm here. I'm doing the thing in the sitcom," and then they come back like, "Hello, Mr. Wilson, I'm here, and I'm 7 weeks older," but really they're like a whole year older, and they've become a full-grown adult.
That's what's happening with the boys right now, and everybody's losing their mind over the kid.
I'm
like, he's growing up, guys. Like everyone's like, his voice is fucked now. I'm like,
it's been 3 years
puberty, guys.
Sorry, things change. Yeah. I will say though, like this movie specifically, like yes, does it deal with puberty? Absolutely, that is one of the big themes. But it's so much more than that too. Like we have like huge mother-daughter relationship topics. We have generational trauma. We've got like real true friendship that you find when you're young, like in shame and guilt and inner child work. All of these things are still within this movie. So it's nice to have something that's like, yes, talk about puberty because it's something we should be talking about. It shouldn't be taboo. It should be an open dialogue. But I'm happy that they included many other facets of humanity within that time period of life. And it's awesome.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of through this whole movie was just the words intergenerational trauma, just like flashing, like burr, burr. But there's like you said, there's a lot of stuff. It's not just an allegory for puberty. It's also like immigration, like bringing part of your old culture, and it doesn't fit into what the new culture is, right? Like they even say like over time, as we came to a new world, it became an inconvenience, right? And I think that's that thing of like the assimilation and
and hiding things away and learning how to be like, oh no, okay, we don't do this, I'll just shh and keep quiet. It's like, oh.
Exactly. And there are particular burdens that are handed down through women because of the childbearing aspect of it, and how that's really changed the way that society has valued and viewed women, and the amount of like pressure that is on women with the unpaid labor of raising children, and like all of this, and how it speaks to every generation so differently. And you go down to like Mei, and she has a very different context for understanding what that means for her and what that will mean. And like, look at us, we're an entirely childless like generation, basically.
Exactly.
So like there's a huge piece of that was like bouncing around in my head the whole time, of just that difference of being a woman, having to hold in your emotions, not being able to like things. Like there's that the backlash against things like Twilight or Justin Bieber's, because little
The
girls,
Nightfall book. It's Twilight.
yes. Well, like things that girls like are generally debased in the media. Like they don't have value the same way that things
They're made fun of.
have value. Exactly. So there's like, we're not taken seriously as girls. The things that we like are written off. Like there's a lot of that. And I think like maybe this movie doesn't speak to like the white guy who grew up in Oshawa and is a bodybuilder and everything was built for him or whatever. But like,
that's great. Can't relate to that. But great for you.
Right? If I can relate.
When is Pixar going to make a movie about that?
Yeah, for
They're
serious.
representing me.
It might not be like a tearjerker though. So
Also, I'm very sorry for like
Be a
picking
clean
on
and
Oshawa.
jerker.
I do know people from Oshawa that I do like. So
listen, a lot of people of our generation
on the
are moving there because it's very cheap now to live there.
I know, but if you're from real Toronto, then you know what that used to mean. So
I know what it means.
No, okay, I'm being facetious. But all of those things, like, so I live with a white man, and
sorry about your luck.
I am a white man.
What? No, I'm just kidding.
He could not understand, like, not that he was just, when he saw this movie, he's like, why are people so stupid? Like, this is about childhood, about growing up. Like, everyone's gone through puberty. Everyone's felt shame about the things that they like. Like, these are things that everyone can find something in. And he just, like, it's a small-minded thing. And it reminds me of when Encanto
and people
came
who
out.
haven't done their own homework for themselves, like people who can't see the trauma and the things that are happening within this movie because they haven't dealt with it themselves, like, or they haven't looked in far enough to themselves to be like, oh no, that actually did happen to me too. It's like so walled off.
It's like the Trunchbull. I hate children. I'm glad I never was one. And you're like,
exactly. And you're like, you were though.
But like this kind of thing, like the criticism of these kinds of movies just reminds me of one of the criticisms that I heard about Encanto, which was this one critic said, it's just placed in this this pan-Latino nondescript world. And I was like, are you kidding me? One song, they literally say Colombia like 8 times a minute. Like,
yeah.
Like
also,
the whole song is like,
Lin-Manuel wrote all of the music.
Like, it's
okay.
Oh my God. They say Colombia in the movie multiple times. It's like, tell me
people aren't
listening.
listening.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me you weren't paying attention and you are so close-minded that all you saw was pan-Latino and you missed the subtleties that made it very Colombian.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's the thing with like, last note on that, because I totally agree. I think like movies like this are so important, and it actually more than anything breaks my heart that people can see this and really not see all of those things. And hopefully like maybe they'll go back and retry it, and after some like, I don't know, internal mental work, they can be like, oh, I see it now. But
Let's
it's just, I don't know,
people with this movie.
yeah, right? I also love the movie. It's messed up.
Like, at the worst, like, is it not cute when the little like thing is when she's got her tail up and she's like waggling her butt at her mother, and it's just like moving.
I mean,
and
even
cringy, and I love that.
Yeah. But even talking about that scene in particular, you would think that those types of people who don't connect with the movie would at the very least find that fight sequence interesting visually and cool.
It was
and something
so
that they can walk
cool.
away from being like,
it
that
was
really
Godzilla
cool
Mom.
Yeah, when Godzilla Mom is walking through the buildings, the skyscrapers, it visually is cool. There's no other word for it other than
a little bit
fucking
scary
cool.
too when they show her shadow off in the distance with the red eyes from like behind the building.
Yeah, but what
I
I'm
was
saying is
this
like if you're gonna sit here
full
and be like,
kaiju.
I can't
Yeah.
connect to this movie, you can at least connect to the cool visuals of it. If like a cutesy stuff aside, the coolness. Why can't you appreciate it for the coolness at least?
Because
And even,
assholes
like-
will choose not to connect to
Oh
it
man,
because it's
don't get me
about
started about the Acolyte. Everybody's shitting on that right now, and I'm like, well,
I will
come on,
say
guys.
too, like I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but I did. I had a very like helicoptery family dynamic, like adopted only child woman, very, very helicoptery. And the moment Godzilla mom panda was there, I was like, I know that look. I know this fear. I know this, like, okay, we're on defense, like whatever we got to do. It was so well done and so accurate, even in like a very zany kind of way,
Right.
which is awesome. Awesome to see.
Yeah. And I understand not every movie is for everybody. Like,
Yeah,
Club isn't
that's
for me.
okay.
I don't like it. I don't want to watch it. Get it out of my face.
For sure, yeah.
Joker, never. Like Oppenheimer, no, thank you.
I mean, I assume that the people that didn't like this movie probably didn't get to that end sequence. They didn't.
No,
watch the
they
entire
probably
movie.
turned it off way
Yeah.
earlier.
But that's the thing. Like, not every movie is for everybody, but it's just like the way what you bring to the discourse, and it's just disingenuous, is what it is. Like, if you don't like it, go get out. Don't suddenly like these parents groups were like, well, we shouldn't be talking about disobeying your parents, and
That was the
puberty
other thing that
and,
made me
like
so
whatnot.
angry.
Like huge conservative backlash. Sorry, parental backlash to whether this movie is appropriate or not, and it's just like.
And if you haven't also like, it might be also just people watching this movie with very different lenses of life experience, right? But to be a parent, if I was a parent, which I will never be, but if I was one and I watched this movie and I had the mentality of like, kid does not disobey because even if I like love them very dearly, maybe it's from fear. I just want them to be okay. So don't disobey me because I know what's right. I would have watched this and actually I watched it to the end. I would have understood that maybe that isn't the way to go. Like that's the entire message of this is like May and her mother realizing that whatever happened in the past might have been good for the time, might have been survival for the time, but times are changing and we don't have to do that anymore. And we gotta break that.
But even grandmother to mother, like it continues onward and beyond just that, right? And like the different mentalities for each generation and how it becomes hardened the further back you go. But there's also still like a deep love and caring there that we all know exists within family, but it can be difficult.
In every relationship, the big thing is that they don't want to lose their connection, right? Like May is afraid of losing her mother. Her mother was afraid of hurting her mother. Yeah. And so it's like, it's not like parents, I'm out. Like
it's about wanting to connection and then having
how am I true
the
to
connection
myself?
severed so many times because of past trauma.
That's going to be May's child is going to be the Gen Z who's like, or the Gen Alpha. Giving the finger.
Screw you, mom. I'm gonna be, I know the panda's coming, and I'm going to be the panda.
Yeah.
On God, it's giving depression. No cap. For real.
Yeah. Mom, you have no riz.
no riz.
Like as I was watching the movie, I was like, how am I going to avoid talking about my mother this whole, because I can't this wasn't the relationship that I had with my mother, but like I was May if May never had a connection with her mother at all. Yeah.
But I mean, but everybody
I was very much a latchkey kid. Like I don't really relate to this dynamic,
but I think everybody can relate to the idea of lying to your mom for the first time. In a big way.
There's
and
something.
I wanted to bring up that look that the mom gives. I was very much afraid of that look, and I never did the like sleepover trope where you're like, we're all going to sleep over at each other's houses and we'll get away with it. And they never do on TV, but I would literally sneak out my window and go hang out with my friend in the park.
You're even more of a stereotypical child.
Yeah. I'm like an 80s stereotype, not a 90s stereotype.
Yeah.
I will say also with that point, bringing it back to the movie as well, like I wrote some notes and because I do. But there were a couple times where like mom, her name is Ming, right? I'm not incorrect about that. I think Ming.
It is Ming.
So Ming is very clearly loves May. Like they've loved each other for so long and they've just had this relationship. But there are so many points in the movie, especially near the beginning, where you can just see Ming's behavior chipping away at May's relationship with her. Like moments of even when she gets her panda and she is very embarrassed and like hiding. Mom has no idea how to talk about the situation at all to her without using flowery language that was given to her and being like, oh, you're blossoming and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not talking straight. Mom doesn't get it. So that's a crack. Then you have May really loving Town, really wanting to go, and her mom dismissing it completely offhand and not taking an interest in her daughter's
What are
interests.
they, Celine Dion? What do they think they are? That's
Yeah, right? Like, it's like, oh, that's not music. That's like noise, which like every kid has heard in every single generation.
It's like
another crack happened. And then her not liking her friends and being like, your friends are bad influences. And her friend group loves her to death.
So funny when she's like, my mom already doesn't like you. And Miriam's
she's
like,
what?
what?
I also love Miriam. Miriam is the one. I love her. But yeah,
it's
like
also
all those cracks happen until you can't talk to your mom anymore.
Right.
You're
But
like, you don't listen.
It's also mom knows best, right? And up until this
Exactly.
point in her life, she truly believes that everything that she says to her daughter is listening and doing exactly as she says because she loves her and she trusts her.
Keeps her safe.
Yeah, and she thinks she's doing the right thing, and she thinks that May is going to love her because of it, right? And so it's saddening deeply to watch
so
mom like try her hardest and think she's doing the right thing when she's destroying her daughter's trust in her bit by bit, like you're saying, Cass, creating these cracks. And like the funniest part of the movie when she finds the notebook and is like, did he touch you? To the
instant trauma. Like, oh my god.
This
like,
is another one where you
dying.
I think everybody can relate to this moment as well, where your mom finds something that you don't want her to find, and you have this shame and embarrassment, and you don't know how to deal with it, so you just let your mom go off.
Imagine if she publicly shamed you in front of everybody.
No.
But one of the things that to that point,
I don't want to imagine it.
I've got a story.
To that point of like not being able to see within yourself, like one of the kind of keynotes, I suppose, of intergenerational trauma is not understanding your own trauma. And so when she's like, I turned out great, like when she's in the Sky Dome and she's saying things about herself. Yeah. And she's saying like, I was obedient. I was like, whatever. Like, this is a thing that like traumatized parents will think they turned out just fine and hand that down. Yeah. And that's what's happening. And all of these cracks that are created by this not healing your inner child. I hate that statement, but like, and not being able to reflect in yourself what it was that your parents did to you and what they downloaded onto you, what fears and anxieties you've just been carrying. Right. Yeah. Like my mom used to do that. Like, I never did this when I was a kid and I never did this. And I was like, lady, I don't believe you.
I don't believe it at all. I also thought that was probably why, Ming's panda was so big, right? Was because her trauma was literally much larger than May's was, and she was burying it for so long that it just kept growing and growing and growing to the point that it was a giant monster.
Yeah. That's a great observation. Like I did not think of that, but
it
that's
does build
100% it. Yeah.
Just because you shove it down doesn't mean it's not there, and it will get bigger and it turns into a monster. That's like exactly what it is.
On the topic of mothers and daughters, and like Frozen 2 is one of my favorite movies on the planet because it deals with mothers and daughters as well, which is not something, and like intergenerational trauma and indigenous mother-daughter movie. Yeah. Like that's Frozen 2. That's an incredible movie. Sure. But I tell you, go back to every movie that you've ever watched. Every movie is about fathers and sons.
Yeah. That's also true. I think that's also why these movies hit me so hard, is that like we didn't really have it. And now that I see it, I'm like, oh, someone gets it. And someone's actually talking about this because again, it was like father, son, like Liar, Liar. Do I love that movie? Absolutely. But it's like, and Hook, we watched like last month. I'm like, I love that, but it's always a father-son dynamic. Even father-daughter doesn't really exist that much either.
I mean, that also has a lot to do with the fact that male directors kind of like have been
they're telling
spawning in Hollywood forever, right? They're telling their tales, right?
And women don't get to play with their toys. They don't get to take their childhood into their adulthood. They don't get to have fun, and they don't get to have bonds with their daughters. like
Sorry.
you're a mom and you're this type of mom. So the one thing I have about this movie is about the dad. I do have a slight issue with the way that the dad is portrayed, because that's very typical of like even last week on Barbie, like, well, like I'm anxious all the time, like, oh, I feel great. It's because the kids never take it out on the dads. Like that's just what it felt like, that like dads are, for a lot of people, such a non-presence. Like they're just not the disciplinarians in the family, and they're not the ones that do the majority of the child rearing. And that's what we were talking about last week as well, that this burden falls on mothers, and the way that they're viewed is very different. And that kind of comes across in the
they have to be
here.
the villain and the friend at the same time, so it's like a very confusing dynamic.
I love the dad. Don't get me wrong.
I thought the dad was going to be like the dad in Barbie in this, but then he does have that like moment at the end, and he
actually sees her. Yeah, that's really cute.
And the thing, but that's the thing. Like the dad or one of the parents will always connect and see the kid's side, right? Like where the other parent, it's that good cop, bad cop, and the dad in a lot of these movies that do handle mothers and daughters, the dad is the good guy. And like kind of the bumbling hapless like parent,
right, and is able to explain to the kid what the mom actually means, kind of
character.
Like look at Clueless.
After it's calmed down, being like, I will translate this in a nice way instead of maybe flying off the handle because emotions were high, like
that relationship exists in like just in the movies that we've done. Like we saw the like that in the Clueless movie, that was like Disney princess, dead mom, like dad, like bonding, love, daughter, like that. The father-daughter dynamic is definitely more common and is less, stuff.
I think it's
and things
in terms
sorry,
of
I got really worked up about that.
Yeah,
it makes me really upset.
Yeah, I mean, like it's been a forever issue, right, in movies, and specifically movies that were directed towards us when we were growing up. It's like, you know, that's how it was. And a lot of these directors, like, you know, like Spielberg, for example, we did Hook not that long ago. You know, he had like a really terrible relationship with his father, apparently, and it took him his entire life to make one of his latest movies where he's dealing with that in terms of making a movie, right, where he's like, I wanted to wait until both my parents were dead before I made this movie because I did not want them to see my perspective of how they were as
also
parents.
Clearly like someone who knows that they wouldn't have understood anyway.
Exactly.
Like it was like there was no growth.
I do think that the dad in this, he had sort of like a unique perspective in terms of explaining it to her, because he was using what he knows of her mom, through his experience with her when she was young, to explain it to her, which is not something that you always get. It's more like, I'm the wise father, and here's my advice to you, not like, here's a situation involving me and your mom and how we dealt with it together. This is how your mom is going to be, and just explaining her mom to her a little bit more.
He's still kind of a milquetoast dad.
Of course.
Bit.
I'm not defending the character.
No, he's adorable, but not like obviously not the main character too. So I kind of get why, like storytelling wise, it would be like, this is your moment for this.
What I do like about the dad though is that you can tell how much he loves Ming.
Yeah.
Like how much he admires her and how cool he thinks that panda was, and like her standing
like
up
her
for
light,
him, how important that was to him. Like, and the fact that they give this guy 3 lines and they managed to convey that with like the animation,
it hit.
It's just absolutely beautiful. And he's got that like caregiving piece. Like he cooks in the family. That's something you don't often see as well. So like there are great pieces about that dad. Again, you know, it's just like
I had a really interesting first when we first meet May. She's like kind of like a precocious teen character, but she's kind of like if Lisa Simpson had more depth and had friends and was kind of a dick. and then
Lisa was a different character.
What I really love,
kind of like it's the same kind of like pedestal moment in a way, right? Like the smart kid who's like, oh, like you can just handle all these things, so they're juggling all these things. Different character, but like similar themes. I can totally.
But I do like that she walks over to the red pandas at the temple, and they're named Bart and Lisa. She calls them Bart and Lisa. I was like, wow, this is very of the era.
Yeah,
it's been around forever.
Everybody was watching The Simpsons. It was 2002.
So
Still
this
watching
isn't
this
a
stuff, it's
universal
real.
thing, but just to finish off the mothers and daughters thing, one thing that I have heard a lot and I've experienced a little bit is that when you're very, very young, your mother is your everything, no matter who you are. Like if you have that, like if you have a mother who's there with you, just because of the time spent with her. And then there's a huge gap where you like don't understand your mom or like that just changes. And then as you get older or as you have children, a lot of people like it clicks in their head like, oh, that's what my mom was trying to do. And like as we get older, like my respect for my mother has like really grown. Like whether like we get along or not or whatever's happened, like I really admire the person that she is. And that's what I got from this as well. Like clearly this mother-daughter dynamic, like what we're watching is like a extreme version of like a tension that existed between Domee Shi and her mother, but it's also this like growing respect. Like you can see all the respect in there as well.
I agree. I just want to point out that sometimes that trope that you bring up, that generational trauma with your parents. My dad is very much aware of how I was brought up. My parents split up when I was like 9, right? So he's very aware of it because me and my dad have more of a friendship relationship. My mom kind of raised me as a single parent, but she was never around because she had to work. And when I talk about the trauma that I was given growing up, she's one of those people, one of those parents that's like, that never happened. That's the wall I get from my parents on that front. I think that if May brought this situation up to her when she turns 30 and her mom is like 70, the mom's gonna be like, yeah, that happened and I'm sorry, like. So I think that by the end of the movie, by the end of the movie, I think that they find a common ground, but it's very prevalent for millennials that we never really get.
I'm imagining Jason, you going to your mom and being like, Mom, do you remember that time you destroyed the Sky Dome? And she's like, that never happened.
That never happened.
There's news footage of it, Mom. It happened.
Never happened.
Yeah, is this going to turn into a round table of like us just being like, yeah, and my parents split up too. I only saw my dad's on Sundays. So for him, he was like that. Like he was only there for the like a very soft moment of my life where we would go and eat ice cream on Sundays or something. Like,
I mean,
that was
for me.
So
Well, we all have very unique experiences. Like Steve's parents are still together, and Cass, you're
still
adopted,
together,
and
your
parents are
adopted.
still together.
Very different. That's the thing, though, that I love about this movie, and like the fact that we all got to watch it is like we get to share these stories now. Like it opened a door in certain ways for people to be like, oh, okay, maybe I don't get all of it, but I get a lot of this, or I get all of this, or I get maybe pieces. And we get to just discuss our actual lives, and it heals all of us too. I think that's also a little bit poignant of the fact that this is set in 2002 of like my generation, like millennials and like that kind of era where we right now, a lot of us are doing the work that our parents didn't do. And like the younger generations now are also doing the work of healing themselves, and just having it set in this time where I'm like, oh, this was kind of the time it did start happening, where kids were like, whoa, that's not okay. Why are we doing that? I would like to be independent. I would like to be safe. I would like to learn about the world. But the way that you guys did it seems really sad and unhealthy, and we maybe shouldn't continue doing it. So I don't know. It's like a nice little cherry on top of the timing of it.
it's when we realized that the Earth was gonna like turn into a giant fireball.
Yeah, it's all on fire
as we
anyway.
got
We'll see how
older, we
long
were
it
like,
lasts.
hey.
Yeah, maybe we should heal ourselves emotionally because the planet is fucked.
And then 22 years later,
Well, it
it's
forces
like
you to actually look.
the Gulf
right?
Stream is not going to exist next year, and that's going to cause the deserts to become more desert and the cold places to be more wet and more cold for a time.
Yeah.
Then there'll be deserts.
It's very hard for generations to look back when you're seeing these things, to look back and say, yeah, they did it right.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done anything right ever, I think.
No, we're constantly evolving and learning, right?
And then,
like,
and
then
now
we
look
don't
at
learn
Chen
from
said.
history.
They're on us about our side parts. So we didn't do it right either.
I know. And I get eaten alive for my butterfly clips. Like, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
we're not allowed to wear ankle
Like
socks
balls.
anymore, guys.
I also
Yeah.
heard that, and I'm like, I have so many ankle socks.
I was like,
I'm
thank
so
like, I
God,
need to change
finally.
everything.
ankle socks. I hate ankle socks so
So
much.
do
What's
I.
wrong with
I
ankle?
love
I don't wear
them.
them, but
I
like,
think they
what,
look stupid.
I
Well,
just
they just feel uncomfortable. I need something hugging my ankles and telling me that I'm okay.
it's giving you your
They're called,
grounding.
yeah, they're
You're
called
like
trauma socks.
the grippy socks, different thing.
I love a good crew, man. Like
No, I remember when ankle socks started to hit heavy and everybody would judge you if you didn't have ankle socks on, and I was so upset because I think they look dumb and I don't like the way they feel, and I have always hated them. So when Gen Z and Gen Alpha were like ankle socks
Brought
out,
them
I was
back.
like, thank freaking
And they
God.
look cool.
yeah,
like they
when
make
they brought
them like
mom jeans
styling.
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Maymay is about to be personally victimized by low-rise jeans in the very near future.
Oh, I know.
My heart breaks.
This is like a year before skinny jeans really hit hard.
I don't know. Spookiest potato is first time chatter, bud.
Hello.
Random ankle socks.
Yeah.
Hello and
Knows
welcome.
what's up.
He popped in right after the trauma talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I have lots of childhood.
There will
trauma,
be
but
more.
I
We're not
refuse
done
to speak
yet.
about it on this show. I don't need to.
I didn't talk
Not
about my
fair.
childhood trauma. I just laid out some facts. My parents
Yeah.
split up. Jason's parents split up. We're commiserating.
There we go.
Yeah, it's trauma bonding as usual.
Yeah.
I think at the point of the movie that we're at, just to sort of cast broad strokes because we don't really go beat by beat anymore.
Yeah.
We're
Also, there's
introduced.
so
You
much
should
that happens in this
kind
movie.
of-
It's so fast.
Yeah,
So-
we're
Sorry,
introduced
I like
to
what
like
we
the
did last
temple.
week, where
Yeah.
like it was like we kind of went through a bit of it. Like we had that big talk, and then we kind of went through it because like we just emotionally dumped for a while.
Well, I was going to ask you guys. I don't know this to be true, but like Toronto's pretty accurate. But there's a couple things that kind of irk me a little. Streetcar, first of all, has a wheelchair access, which I know it's fiction because I don't know if the streetcars ever had wheelchair lifters.
I think they do. I don't know if they did in 2002 because I was still in London.
Those
but-
really old ones that you saw there were the most inaccessible things on the planet.
That's what I'm saying.
The interior of the streetcar was also incorrect. The seats were not the correct organization for it.
Yeah,
And the
it was
Toronto
more
Transit
updated.
Commission, yes, the Toronto Transit Commission did not have a 13 to 65 pass. There was a student pass. You had to get a picture taken of yourself and then have your student card. And you had this like flippy thing that you had to show the bus driver like you're in the FBI just to prove that you're a student. So like that's like
Let me just ask you one more question.
Lies.
Yeah.
I also want to know, is that temple a real temple? Because
No.
Chinatown looked pretty good. Like it looked pretty.
Yeah. And like you see like Kensington down the way too.
Yeah.
Like there's like it goes through a few little neighborhoods around there, which is really nice. But no, that temple isn't.
Yeah, I can't.
As
so
far
the
as I
temple-
know.
So
nothing.
the Spadina.
There's a temple that looks like that off Bloor. Sorry. But I
Yeah.
think that's actually
Noel's trying to answer your question.
Muslim.
You're interrupting.
Right. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Noel. I'm
Yeah,
a
there's
white
some
man. That's
buildings
what we
that
do.
look like that.
I'm sorry.
Well, there's
I'm
like-
sorry.
It's not a specific place. Just like Lester B. Pearson's school isn't a specific place, but it kind of looks like the schools from that time period.
I mean,
that
there
were
was a
built-
Lester B. Pearson in London, Ontario. So
There was
maybe
no one
that's
there is no one.
yeah. So
Also,
I
we
wonder if
don't-
it's like kind of like different experiences, like blending, right? Like
Here in Toronto, we don't plaster our schools with a million Canadian flags, but I think that's more like an
on
American
purpose
thing.
for art thing.
But also just to be like, remember, you're in Canada. It's Canada. Hey,
And the $5 like Canadian bills.
right.
You know,
Okay,
like all the girls are
So
like,
that was something because
they're the new ones.
No, they're not.
They
They're the ones
newer.
with rock. They're the ones with Rock Carrier's poem on the back of them, of the hockey sweater.
They were still the
So
paper ones, right?
That
Before
was yes, they
plastic.
were. So the 5. So when they went from the Birds series to sorry, I can talk about legal
No,
tender.
I'm trying to
for way too
remember
long.
now.
So there was the Canadian Bird series, and then they went to the basic color format that they have now.
Yeah.
And they had Canadian heritage moments on the back.
Yes.
Of that whole set of bills. That's the one. Everyone left.
Oh, Cass keeps getting booted. Yeah, no, I looked it up too because I was like, those aren't the new bills, are they? But I knew they weren't like the really old ones from the 90s that I was familiar with. But it
Yeah,
was,
and
like,
they don't have
in-between.
the metal strip. So there
Yeah.
was like
Well,
that
that's like
5, and then
I
there
mean,
was a
not
5 with a
recent,
metal
but-
strip, and then there was the polymer bill that we have now.
No, yeah.
So like,
They were accurate, I'm pretty sure.
Period
they were
accurate.
Yeah. But I mean, that was also the time where the currency kept like, it was all mixed still, you know, you wouldn't have like a bunch of $5 bills that were the same. You'd have one from 1995 and one modern one, and then another one that, you know, some like special edition bill that came out in 1998 and still floating
Also,
around.
sorry, Noel, I did get booted. I wasn't ignoring you.
No, that's
So I'm back.
the 5 I think had the kingfisher on the back in the bird.
I think
series.
so. Yeah.
The 20 I
I
think had
can't
the loon.
remember.
Off the rails.
Yeah, let's get back on the rails.
Rails.
The streetcar rails.
Oh yes.
Are they accurate?
no.
Sky
that-
Dome was nice to be called the Sky Dome. That was
Yes.
a nice touch.
Yeah, Tim earlier said it's. Thank you for calling it
saw
that. But in 2002, it was called
that.
Yeah,
Still
it
got here.
It didn't.
There-
I
there
think
he
Rogers
is.
Center was like 2010 or 2009 is when it was started being called that, right? When did
I
Rogers
think
buy
so.
the Sky Dome?
It's
I
still
don't
called the Sky Dome, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean,
I
I
was-
call it the Sky Dome.
I was
but it
in there like last week, and
It's still
Yeah.
called the Sky Dome.
no,
Right.
yeah, it's still there. Yeah, you can see where the panda marks, like where they had to.
Oh,
rebuild it.
right, yeah.
But they had to rebuild.
There's still purple paint from the Four Town sign that got smashed
So good.
on the ground. So the animation in this movie is so charming and funny. Like
It's
it
so
makes the movie 10
charming.
times more funny than it has any right to be at times. Where when she starts to, she's drawing in her notebook and she's like, why do they think he's cute? I guess his shoulders are kind of nice. And then like
Yeah.
the lighting in the room starts to dim and her face becomes more and more focused and she just gets
It's
like
so cute.
sweaty.
sweating,
Yeah.
and the face, like
And she goes into this trance of just drawing these like kind of like horny pictures of this guy. And it's
that's the thing,
so
too.
funny.
Is that like they animated it in such a good way that like it really did play off of like the realistic daydreamy brain of
Yeah.
a teenager. Like it does get cringy, it does get
It's so
weird,
cringy, yeah.
and like it just hits you like a brick wall where you're like, whoa.
And then
What's
she's
going
so,
on?
Yeah, she's so
And it's
self-conscious
weird
about
and
the-
it's okay. It's cute.
She's so self-conscious about the images that, you know,
Yeah.
we have that moment where she's like, don't look at the notebook, and she like looks down for a second.
Don't look
Mom is
down.
like,
I've also
Okay.
been there. That
Okay,
sucks.
I've been there too.
That's a Finding Nemo moment that I have to talk about. So at the beginning of Finding Nemo, Coral is like,
Oh
so-
yeah, with the babies.
yeah. So the barracuda is there. The all the eggs are in like a little grotto underneath, and Coral is there, and Marlin is like, just get in the anemone, and then
Yeah.
she looks down. Barracudas don't actually eat fish eggs. Like they just, if she had just gotten in the anemone, then they would have been fine. But instead, she looked down and swam down to the eggs, and that's why everybody died. And that's like something I have a deep issue with Finding Nemo. So when she looked down, I was like, no.
But that's also like another
eggs are
thing
gonna
about
eat 'em.
animation too. Like we've talked about this, especially when we were on for Coraline in that month, of the little details in animation that are human. Like our bodies tell stories that we do not want to all the time. It makes sense that a teenager would be like, yeah, no, I'm totally fine. And you would look down because you're nervous and you don't even know that you're doing it. It's subconscious, right?
Exactly.
But having the little detail in there is just, it's nice. I like
This
it.
The more you're stressed out about something, like the more
more you're gonna-
overprotective you are about
Yeah.
your kids, the more likely 3,000 of them are going to get eaten by a barracuda, or your notebook's going to get found by your mother. That's just how it
That's
goes.
why I have
There's
only a
also-
cat.
This is also
So
one
I
of the
don't have to worry about it.
the main gripes that I have with live action remakes is there's so much you can convey in animation that you cannot do in live action, and
It's true.
it's why
They're also
every single
bad.
yes, they're bad, but they're also never going to be able to capture the magic that animation does. It's something that we can, you know, talk about forever, but you know, you look at something like Beauty and the Beast, and there's so much going on in something like the bonjour moment of that movie in the animation that is completely lost and lacking of all charm in the live action remake of it. And that can be said about everything. And like that moment is something that if you were to try and do that in live action, it would not translate in any way nearly as
You could
comedic as it is here.
never. Like the closest they've come is like kind of Scott Pilgrim has
That's
a
what-
bit
I was
of that
literally going to
vibe.
bring that up as well.
Yeah.
Run Lola Run, one of the Hulk movies had like a bit of that as well.
Yeah,
The Eric Bana one. And then oh god, what is it? It fell out of my head. But like you get that sometimes, but it's very difficult, and it's like a stylistic choice that like can be at odds with what the movie's trying to do, because that list of movies that I just gave ain't always so well reviewed.
That's true.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Eric Bana Hulk is the greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time.
I think that
Dr.
is a good
Banner
movie. I like the
compounded
Ang Lee Hulk
gamma
movie.
rays turned into
I think that
the
you just
Hulk.
haven't seen it in a long time, Jason. You need to rewatch it. Maybe we'll do it on this
It's
show.
time.
I think that would be good. Like if we do a weird superhero.
We'll do the
month.
John Travolta Punisher movie.
Yeah.
Tank Girl. Have you guys done Tank Girl?
No, but I want to do
Not
that.
100 years.
I was hoping
yeah.
was hoping to ask my friend Lavino to be on for that episode because she
Oh,
has
okay, yeah,
always
no problem.
she's
I'll
always
just-
reminded me of Tank Girl.
Don't worry. I'll
You
just
can be
come up
on
with it.
too, Noel. Jeez Louise. So I had a point, but I can't remember what it was. It was
Sorry.
about it was
Animation.
sorry, it was the notebook and the drawings. I was saying, like, she's so nervous about it that like the drawings you're expecting to see are you're like expecting something borderline gross, and then you open it and she's just drawn him as like a merman.
A merman.
Yeah,
"Oh my
it's
God."
like that
Which
episode of
is
South Park.
weird, but
It
it's
is weird.
so cute.
Yeah.
Tweak X Craig, where it's just people are just shipping Tweak and Craig, and there's just pictures of them just like hugging with a heart
Yeah.
above them.
There's like
Yeah.
the most risque picture is one where they're about to kiss. They're not even kissing. They're like about to kiss.
It's so
No lip
cute.
contact. Yeah. Did he do
That
these things
seems-
to you?
That whole sequence
Oh,
was really interesting.
The
to
trauma
me
that
because-
I felt in that moment of like her bringing, like mom bringing that over
Mom,
to
yeah.
Daisy
And
Mart.
mom's like, how old are you?
Oh,
30? And he's
oh.
like 17.
perfectly
I would have been
reasonable.
like, I am moving out and I'm running away and I'm changing my name and my identity and
The
nobody
series-
needs to know me ever again.
The
Like,
series
I'm
of
gone.
things that she says to that boy are so funny. She
Oh.
accuses him of being 30. He's 17. And then she says, see, this is what happens when you don't wear sunscreen.
And do drugs and like all
do
these
drugs
things.
all day.
Like what? Also,
He's
like,
like,
I
"Who
don't
are
know
you,
who your
ma'am?"
daughter is. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
working here.
It's
Can we
so
just
rude.
say before we move, Sandra Oh's performance is really, really charming.
She
Yeah.
is always
Interesting.
top notch as well. Always top notch.
I really like the
also-
animation of her character as well. She
Yeah.
looks way different than like pretty much anybody else in the movie.
There's a
The,
lot
like,
of changes, like code switching with her that happens.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
I was very focused on her her dimple ridges the whole time because they tell her this part of her face never changes, but
Except
all of her
eyebrows a little bit.
but all of her character is her mouth, right?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see how they were able to convey that much emotion through just the bottom part of her face. I don't know. I was
very
captivated by the
cool.
mom in this movie. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's
and those
almost
line
like even
deliveries.
like animation wise, if you're looking at like building a character and what they look like, it's kind of giving that two facades of being in character design. You're like, up here we are composed, everything is fine, and down here is where you actually see your true emotions starting to creep out without you wanting them to. I will say right before we leave the scene, because I think it's hilarious, there is one of my favorite lines in the movie that Priya says when they're outside the Daisy Mart for the first time, very beginning of the movie, and they're looking at Devin inside the Daisy Mart, and all these girls are like fawning over him, and he's like, I don't get it. Like, Four Town's right here and we love Four Town. And Priya's like, tickets to Four Town are $1 bajillion and Devin is right there.
Yeah.
And
Like-
free.
Incredible.
I witnessed when I was in junior high and high school, I hung out with a group of girls. Like, that was my friend group. And I liked one of the girls in that group. And she liked the Devin character who worked at the grocery store. And we'd always go over and they'd be like,
The mysterious
and
bad
I'd
boy.
be
We
like,
don't know.
how do I be 30? How do I be? He was probably we were like 14 and he was probably like 17, same sort of thing, right? And that weirdly brought me back to being like me liking this girl, but she wanted this, like, she's coming of age, she's discovering stuff about herself, and it was like a very similar, like they don't get a boy in their friend group till much later in the movie.
Yeah.
But as the boy in the friend group of that group of girls, I felt like I was brought back to a very specific time in my life.
Behind the
Oh,
glass and it's like
Tyler.
raining outside and you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh my god. So when The panda is so cute, but when she goes by the Daisy Mart as the panda and her legs start thumping, and then she's like, woo!
So funny. It's so charming. That's the thing about this movie is that like so many people were like, oh, it's like sexualizing kids. That was a whole thing about this movie. And I was like, no, it's not. It's so cute and adorable and like not in any crazy way. And it's real. Like you have these young girls like rose-colored glasses and like fantasizing about situations that don't happen because they're just learning about themselves. And their imaginations are going crazy because they're still kind of kids. Like they haven't solidified it yet. I don't know. I think it's adorable.
It's the same critics that do like that say these things, and then they're like, "Who's Millie Bobby Brown dating?" Like at age 11, and you're like,
get out.
You're
the answer is Drake.
Onto the kid. The answer is stop talking about a child's like.
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
Well, we've talked about it on the show before, which is like people putting things onto like children that children are not thinking about. Children are thinking about these things in a very innocent way, which is how this movie portrays it. And
very much that.
They're watching it.
I think Hidden Figures, Caitlin was talking about that a bit. And then also like the Millie Bobby Brown thing is like when the internet first was a thing, there was that really gross website where they're like, how long until the Olsen twins are 18?
They did that with Natalie Portman as well.
And they just kind of finished doing that with Millie Bobby Brown. And I'm sure there's going to be
and that's what I mean. Like you want
it's tragic and it continues, and like it's hard to watch when you've been young going through it and seeing it, and then when you're an adult and you're still seeing it, you're like, why are we doing this?
You see something that's like this, and it's like an innocent portrayal of very real things that happen to everybody that we don't talk about because they're taboo, but they're not. And the things that we do talk about that damn well should be taboo.
Just having a countdown timer for celebrities who are turning 18 is fucked up.
Disgusting.
Versus like drawing a couple like anime style drawings of like the guy who
your crush is a mermaid.
Like how much deviant art did you look up when you were
Oh yeah.
I still look at
all there.
Oh, Domee Shi.
Also, it is art. Okay, it was a good time, and it's beautiful.
It's art.
Yes. So Domee Shi did have a DeviantArt account, I believe, and did do a lot of of art through that. So
I believe that. Also, like animator brain too, right? You're like, of course, you're in it.
That episode of South Park I reference is actually kind of a lampooning of the DeviantArt craze that happened, and that's all the kids are drawing pictures of these two boys in school who I think end up in a relationship, but
also DeviantArt is a legitimate art website for people to showcase their talents.
I know, but it also has a lot
of
fan fiction on it.
The internet is the internet, so
it only has fan art on it if you're looking for the fan art. There's lots of original art on there as well.
And really incredible art.
I have a DeviantArt page.
I know you do.
You have
share it after. You gotta plug
Captain
it
America kissing Batman. A lot of it.
Now that
it's probably beautifully done, very artistic, very tasteful.
It's
sure it's
pornographic.
Good. It's okay. I'll still hang it on my wall for you, Steven. I'll be like, my friend made this, and it's beautiful.
When
look at it every morning. 410.
Yes.
Never met nobody. Don't get me canceled. I can only sing so much before they're like, shut it down.
No, it's fine.
Billie Eilish and Phineas writing those songs, incredible.
I didn't know it was them. Makes sense. That makes sense. They would get it.
Okay, so tell me more about what you know about Four Town, because it hits so fucking hard.
It's our Backstreet Boys. It's our NSYNC. It's also like the generations like One Direction. Like these boy bands took over O-Town, Canadian O-Town, and I feel like that's exactly probably what it was emulating, right? Like,
I saw something horrible where it's that the one guy from the Backstreet
as well,
the one guy from the Backstreet Boys.
Degrees.
Not the main guys and not Joey Fatone, but the other one, the kind of like what's his name?
Howie?
It's either Benjamin or not a white guy? AJ?
No, from Backstreet Boys. Not AJ,
Nick
not
Carter.
Nick, not Joey.
Benjamin. I think that's
the guy
his name.
who dressed like a raver.
Oh,
the guy in the bucket hat.
AJ, it might be AJ.
What is
not AJ?
Story?
AJ was the bad boy.
Was Howie an NSYNC? Am I in the wrong?
Howie? I don't know.
Anyway,
like, video of
Howie
him
Mandel.
performing at a mall recently with O-Town, and everybody's like, "Look at this washed-up guy with an NSYNC or sorry."
Whatever.
Anyway, with a cover band, and it's like, no, these guys are just going to performing their music in places they used to perform their music for an audience, bringing their kids to see it. It's
and the malls
wholesome.
were crazy for that in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like Britney did that. She like in her early days was like going to malls and like it was like crowds and crowds of people. She would play there all the time.
That's how Tiffany became.
I was going to say Tiffany came to the mall when I was a little kid, and it stopped Halifax. Halifax shut down because Tiffany played a Bears Red Toppers dinner.
And that's how they like that was the marketing strategy for Tiffany. And then she opened for the Right Stuff guys. What are they called?
The New Kids on the Block.
Okay, it is Howie. I have this thing where I say something and like I'm right about it, and then everyone else in the room is like, "Who was it? Who was it?" And I'm like, "It's Howie."
You second guess yourself.
Okay.
I believe you.
It's called the Yukon Striker. Okay, sorry.
I also was like, my brain turned off when everybody.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Howie.
NSYNC and or Backstreet Boy member. I was like, I don't.
One of them.
I don't know. Lance Bass is the only one I know.
It was
Lance.
Was it AJ?
Oh, it was the wrong band. Who's in NSYNC?
Oh my god!
How about we get back on track here? Because
I know you're right. You're right.
It was Chris Kirkpatrick. Chris Kirkpatrick can get your ass kicked. Yeah, it was Chris Kirkpatrick. My bad. I'm sorry.
I forgot about that one. So that's tough.
Yeah, most people do, I think, and that's why he's performing in malls. Okay, he's washed up. I'm sorry, Chris Kirkpatrick. Please don't. Please come on our show. Actually, probably get him.
Well, I think this might be like a cool way to segue this, and maybe not. But we've got Four Town, which is like May's thing with her friends that are incredible. Obviously, mom doesn't get it, but I want to segue a little bit and hopefully find out what you guys think about this friendship group, because holy crap, these girls had each other. And it was so beautiful to see, even like when May's become like full panda and her friends like fully see her in her house and like she's in this isolated room with like a mattress so that she doesn't ruin everything. And her friends come in and they have this like almost like Mamma Mia-esque like dancing queen moment of being like, yeah, we're gonna boots and cats and like sing to her until she actually feels okay. And I'm like, that's so cute.
That was the main cringe moment for me. Like
I love it.
Was like, but I think that was the intention. They were showing something like really real,
Yeah.
you know, really like unfiltered. But I do love Priya. Like Priya's a great character, even though she's probably got the least amount of lines, but her characterization is really interesting to me because she says really flowery things with a really like straight face, and I think that's a funny character. I also like the goth girl that shows up a couple times. They nailed that character so well. Like I knew that person when I was in.
I felt like all these kids were real. Like I could name them all in the movie of like, this is who I grew up with. This is this person and this person and this person.
So
nice.
I heard somewhere that like being cringy is just the moment where you're your authentic self. And in that moment where like they're just singing the song, these girls are really obsessed with Four Town. I was trying to think back to like stuff that I was that obsessed about and how like just thinking about it brings joy. So like these girls singing all the like the super poorly is just like the happiest moment that she could have. And it's just like such an honest little like that feels like a very childhood moment. Like that's a snapshot right there. So yeah, I agree with you, Cass.
It also like blends really cool near the end of the movie when they're doing the whole ritual. I know we haven't really touched on it yet talking, but they have the ritual of like keeping your panda in, and we have, you know, Ming and May fighting in the Sky Dome. And obviously May's family is singing their chant that they know from home that gives them joy. And it's still not strong enough because we don't have that many people and clearly big rituals trying to happen. And then you just have all of May's friends being like, it's okay. We will get Four Town in on this. And we will sing songs that we know speak to you specifically because we know you. You're our best friend and we've known you. We've seen all of your crazy things. And we're going to have that extra song help you through it. It was just really beautiful to see.
I really
Also,
like
I was
how it
fully
blended.
crying.
Yeah.
Like
crying.
when both songs were at the same time, like the chanting was in the middle of it. It was really fun. Like that was a great song. But it's also
At
the
the
song that
concert
they
near
know,
the end,
right?
I consider that the climax of the movie, I would say.
Is that the Home Alone of it all?
No, my Home Alone at all. We'll get to that, but I had a couple. But I thought that end, the end sequence where it's like them fighting, and then the girls start singing, and then the boy band just appears from like a pile of rubble, and it's all
and
happening.
They're still killing it. Full professionals.
Yeah, they're doing the dance moves and stuff too. I could not, and I cannot to this day.
Oh, do yourselves a favor. Go on the Insta or the Reels or whatever and look up the Better Together like Pixar Disney World parade, because they have a Turning Red float, and the actors that they cast to play all the characters and dance. So it's like this big float. The panda's there. All the three friends are there. Like Miriam has the hat and everything, and then they have Four Town like on the thing performing.
Stop.
It is.
I would die.
So
I would go
fun.
full fangirl. Be like, oh my god, it's Four
Yes.
Town. That's so cute.
Why are there 5 of them?
See that joke I liked, but that's all they do that a lot in comedy boy and girl band groups where it's like there's not. I think Girls Five Eva. I think there's only 4 of them. You know, and I was like, that's a little bit on the nose for that comedy, but it's still funny.
Okay. I like the beginning of the concert when they're like 4, 3. I'm like, yes, here we go. I got pumped up.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point about the song blending the sort of like the ancient song that they have to chant in order to trap the panda with what she cares about. It was so good. Talk about like guiding me emotionally through a moment. I was just getting so more and more excited as it built to the point that tears welled up, and I was crying with excitement. I wasn't even like feeling any kind of real emotion. I was just being affected by the music and visuals itself.
And there's that magical girl moment where they're taking off their things and then smashing them. That's like the moon.
Also Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
exactly.
Where like they have, or the you put up the little crest thing and then it floats down, and then you have the magical like transformation moment. Like that was 1 for 1 with Magical Girl.
Yeah, that whole scene was just like 10 out of 10.
There's like
animated storytelling.
That they would put.
And like every like woman had their own like little piece of jewelry that was like their thing. Yeah. It was like the hair comb and like the necklace and the all these different things. The earrings is so funny.
Yeah, it's such a fun thing to think about creatively, where it's like, well, they all have to have a unique item, and it has to kind of adhere to their personality, or at least their sort of like visual aesthetic, and it works so well. And there's like an entire subgenre of anime that is just that type of thing, right? Like something like Sailor Moon, like there's an entire one where it's like cupcake girls, where they turn into like
it's Magical Girl. And one of the saddest one is Madoka Magica. If you want to just find the door to the roof, watch that one.
Okay. I like Cupcake Girls.
Add it to my list.
Yeah. Sorry, with Four Town, I do wonder if they picked 4 because it is an unlucky number.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. They also had that whole thing at the dinner table.
Yeah. So 4, I believe, the character, if you flip it, it's the word for death. So 4 is a very, very unlucky number.
Yeah.
But then
they probably did that too
with a 4 as a necklace at the end, and she's like, so unlucky. God damn it.
I also like even details like that. I'm assuming it was thought of for sure. But like having mom not like this music immediately because it's almost like demon music, not music, just noise, absolutely not, because of things of her life, of what was taught to her. It's like it still all connects, like it's all on the same theme.
That's also just like a generational thing that will last forever, right? Like parents not liking their kids' music. You know you're old when you start to be like, I don't like this music that is new.
Honestly, sometimes Tina Turner will play and I'll be like, they just don't make good music anymore. Like this is like, this was the pinnacle.
No, I get it. Old music was good.
Or Celine.
But also even like everybody hated metal for so long. They were like, oh, that's the devil's music. And metal is incredible. And basically just classical music with a different undertone of sound.
It is the devil's music though, in a good way.
And I love it. I'm here for it every time.
Yeah.
Sorry, we rails. My bad.
No, this is talking about the movie itself. We're good.
Took me that whole
It's
time
my
to find
boys.
a JPEG of fucking Four Town, but here they
Oh
are.
my God. When they're all being introduced, it's so funny.
Oh
When
my
they're
God, like,
they're
and
like bursting
they're
out of the
talented
cages, the
too.
bird cages. Yeah.
But then the last two members that are just sitting there, like this guy rescues pigeons and this guy, and they're talented too. And there's always that in the Backstreet Boys, in NSYNC, there was always like, and here's there too.
And then this guy. Yeah.
We needed 2 more members, and we found these ones, and
Yeah.
it's fine. It's very cute.
So the main sort of like crux of the movie.
Phineas is the voice for one of the Four Town boys.
Oh, I believe
Is
that.
he?
Yes.
Okay.
So the main crux of the movie is they want to go to the concert, but they don't have the money because their parents have all sort of said no, they're not going to pay for it, or forbidden them entirely from going to the concert altogether because it's trash music by a bunch of hacky tweens or whatever. So they decide that they're going to lie to their parents and raise the money themselves in order
as teens do.
Yeah, in order to fund their trip to the Sky Dome to see the Four Town concert. I think this is another relatable thing, being a teenager or a preteen who is not able to get a job to earn money. So you've got to figure out creative ways in order to raise money. So when I was a kid, we did like a car wash, or we would do, shoveling driveways in the wintertime, or mowing lawns.
Parents
or like rob a store, as teens do.
I forgot you guys have divorced parents who just threw money at you. Is that what you're saying?
No, I did chores. I did a comically small amount of chores for a comically large amount of money.
Wow.
I got my $20 a week and spent it on candy.
You didn't go to any concerts with your $20 a week?
No, well, the thing, I'll just say that like my mom had I was like a little lawyer kid. When I was a little lawyer, I used to like convince my mom to.
Okay, did every kid write contracts? Because I wrote contracts.
So
I made PowerPoints. I absolutely had like the whole fight and was like, here you go. These are all my reasons why. Yes. And it needs to be legally binding, even though it's clearly not your child.
My mom had this stupid thing that she did where she was like, I'm going to write a board, and each chore in this house has a certain dollar amount. Yeah. But she didn't put like, you can only do this chore once a week. And so toilets
are on there. Expensive one, like
toilets are on there for $1, and I clean that toilet every day.
I cleaned the toilet 5 times this week, Mom. $5, please.
And she's like, I guess so. You didn't write a contract up.
Jeez.
Yeah. Wait, did she not fix the system though? She still like let that go on.
No,
for
she
months and months?
abolished the system, and she was like, instead of giving me, she gave me $34 one week, and she was like, this isn't working. You're scamming me so hard. We're going back to $20 a week, and you're doing all the goddamn chores.
But that's the thing. Kids will figure it out. Like if you give them a thing that they need to get to, like a concert or like an allowance, we'll finagle it. Like kids are so much smarter than their parents give them credit for.
Going to the grocery store with my mom was always a whole production because I'd leave. She'd be like going down the aisles. I'd leave. I'd come back with a hand, like arms full of junk food, and I would like tell her why I had to have each item and convince her for each individual item. And she would always crumble. I think it was more so that she just like loved me, instead of versus like,
oh yeah, my mom didn't love me. She would just yell at me if I brought cookies over. Put those back. You had a different childhood than me. I would get yelled at a lot if I tried.
Oh my God. In the cart. I mean, we all had different childhoods. Like, for example, May likes cleaning with her mother at the shrine. And like, that's one of the parts where like her friends think that's super weird. So she's already doing that like out of a labor of love with her mother. And at the beginning, she says like, I have my own moves, but some of them are hers too. And like, she's talking about her mom. And so her trying to figure out how to make the money for this is completely like she already works at the temple. Like she's like an assistant, whatever. So like this has to be completely separate from like the job that she already does and the chores and the household things that she already does. I would ask my mom for stuff and she'd say, ask your dad. And then he'd give it to me and they would throw that around. And
yeah, I just had to do the chores or I would get in trouble. I didn't
do the chores.
Do this.
I got an allowance for lunch. Because my mom was too busy to make me lunch. So my dad would give me lunch money. So once a week I'd get a fat stack of bills and then I would sometimes just skip lunch and I would save up my money and then buy cool things.
Buy comic
Smart.
book and action figures.
No, actually, the way that I bought comic books was I went to a comic book store and loitered so long that they let me work there for comic books.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
nice.
That's smart.
Yeah, my friend Jake used to do this thing where he'd get the debit card, and then we'd go, and he was very much a like, we'll ask for forgiveness versus ask for permission. And we go to Zellers or Walmart. Well, there was no Walmart. We go to Zellers and buy wrestling action figures and come home like with like 4, and his mom would lose her
You guys-
mind and be like,
You guys are bad
Jason's got to
kids.
go home. Well, yeah, we were kind of bad. And we'd always end up with the figures. But
I was a
I'd have
big
to go
kid.
clean his house. Like I have to go do chores with him
That's
at
so
his
funny.
house.
That's your
But
punishment
like
for
also
stealing,
worth it.
Jason.
I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I still
Of
got what I
course.
wanted though.
There's a
We
cat
used to-
attacking the CN Tower.
Oh,
Oh
my
no.
God. Just like the
Actually,
movie.
you know what's really funny, Noel? I have my black cat. I don't know if you can see her. She's blending in the exact same position on the back of this chair right now, and she's just chilling.
That's great.
Here, actually, I'll take my
So-
background off just for a second, and you can see how disgusting my place is. No, it's still too dark. You can't see anything. Never mind.
So the
I live in a den.
they do a bunch of different things to raise the money, but they don't get their goal. They almost reach their goal, and all the while they're hiding it from mommy Ming. And
But they're so creative, though. Like
they are, yeah.
they're pictures with the panda, but then they also have keychains and merchandise with
Yeah,
the
they're
So
panda.
many things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was incredible. Like they put a lot of money into making money.
These
did.
girls will make it work. Like, they're like,
And they
"We
almost
need
reached
it
their
up."
goal.
Also,
You use
there
the
was a
revenue
really
from the pictures, which doesn't cost you anything, to then
Yeah.
fund the yeah. It's perfect. Girl
But back-
boss.
The really beautiful thing too is like having all of them, like when they didn't fully get to the goal and they were like literally just one ticket short, amount of
Yeah.
money ticket short, and all of them just looking at each other being like, okay, well, like we should all do this together, but like if we don't have enough, I won't go. Like you guys deserve to go. And they all just did it together, and it was like really
And
beautiful
then they
to
were
see.
all super sad.
And then they
Yeah.
were like, well, if we all can't go, maybe none of us should go. Like it doesn't feel right if someone's not here with us.
Yeah. But they all volunteer to be the one to sit out, which is nice.
Yeah.
I
What was the
definitely did
first
not have that
concert?
friendship group when I was a
I
kid.
didn't have friends. Like I had these like I had some friends like I got along really well with
Acquaintance
everybody.
friends instead of like your true people.
No, see, I really liked being by myself as a kid.
Yeah.
I still
And
do.
I
Still
I
do.
moved when I was in the 5th grade, so all my friends that I had built up and established were destroyed, and I had to make
Yeah.
new ones. So I didn't have time.
That's
to,
I didn't know that
to build
about
up
you,
these
Steve.
friendships again.
Same thing happened to me after grade 4. I moved from suburban Halifax to the city, and I had to make all new friends. That's why I like wrestling, actually. That's why
I
I'm
will
a-
say though, like right around this time, like the 8th grade, that's when I started to really forge those friendships that lasted forever.
Ninth grade for me. It was high
Yeah.
school.
But
Yeah,
when
the
I'm-
people that I met in 8th grade were the ones that I went to high school with, so I had kind of like built up some groundwork, and then throughout high school as work, because I'm still friends. Some of them have been on the show. I've been friends with them since middle school.
when I moved into the city, I just had no friends, and I met this one kid who was like, "Do you like wrestling?" And I was like, "Wrestling's fake, man. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Come over and watch a wrestling pay-per-view." And then I was like, "WrestleMania 12. Oh my God, Shawn Michaels." And it's been all downhill since then.
No, you find
but-
your people somehow, some
Well,
way. Like they just
Yeah.
get
My
you.
best friend in the whole world, like who I've known for like 28 years at this point. Like we've known each other for a very long time. We used to play baseball together. But what reconnected us and like where we solidly became friends was when I was telling an extravagant story about the Hardy Brothers or whatever, the Hardy Boys in the lunch line. And she overheard and was like, "You like wrestling?" Because like when I told my stories, it was like, and it was like super
Loud.
loud as a kid.
That's so cute.
And we bonded for life, and now I hate wrestling. You know,
Well, that's okay.
You're
But it's
allowed.
like, I don't know, like you find the people that also like see you for you. And I feel like all of May's friends see her for her. Past all of the mask, past her being like, oh, this is just what I do because of family. Like they actually see the light in her, which is also why they accept the panda so quickly. They're like, it's okay. This is a lot. But like we'll get through it. Like just deep breaths, and no matter what, we still love you. And then May going back to her mother and doing the whole like kitten box test, which I would have broken at, and like trying to stay calm and not go into panda mode. Then May having to lie to her mom and say, no, you're the thing I think about when I try to stay safe.
Well, yeah, because she said, "Oh shit," she says.
The sentence was finished, I think.
Yeah.
So that was a
I
good.
think that was the end of the sentence. Yeah.
No, but yeah. So she says, "I think about the people that I love the most," and then the mom is like, "Oh, it's us," and she's like, "Yeah, it's you guys," but it's her
It's her
friends.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I loved anybody at that age. So.
Yeah, I was still trying to make friends.
But once Cass comes back, I just want to, just before we move on from this idea, I'd like to ask you guys whether it was. Are you there, Cass?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I couldn't hear you for like a sec, but I think I was just talking over you accidentally.
No, I fully got booted, so you're good.
It was funny when you got booted, like you had finished your thought and it just ended perfectly.
Magic.
But what was your first, you know, if you didn't go to a concert with
that was my question. What was your first concert?
So I'll just quickly, I think I'm pretty sure my first concert was the Misfits with my like late junior high, early high school friends. I'll never forget, we were listening to Gin and Juice and drinking gin and juice at like some older adult's apartment, not in a weird way. And then we took mushrooms and went to the Misfits, and I was wearing these like Jinko jean styled pants, and they got basically so ripped that they were almost ripped off my whole body. Like they were ripped up the back. And I'll never forget walking around like I had just been like in a horrible bus accident. And yeah, how about you guys?
Noel, do you want to go first?
I've been to exactly 4 concerts in my entire existence, and the first one was Jimmy Eat World when I was like 25.
Wow.
Jealous.
I don't like being outside amongst people. So and I've seen Jimmy Eat World and then the Deftones 3 times and then 2 times in the Nutrimilk Hotel. All of them like in my late 20s, early 30s.
Love that.
Okay. Yeah.
I like the Spice Girls, but I didn't like boy bands.
I get that. The first concert I ever went to, and this is so embarrassing, it was the only one I was allowed to go to, was Kaylin Porter. And I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was a Canadian Idol winner.
Yeah.
And he had like the big like curls. So I went to see Kaylin Porter because I was like okayed by my parents. But I had a maze situation many times in my life. And I get it. Like also my family was like not super rich, so they couldn't always afford to get tickets. And I get that now as an adult, but I really wanted to go see Avril Lavigne. My cousins got to go. I didn't get to go. Soul crushing. Horrible. I think the first concert that I actually went to that I really wanted to go to was Hilary Duff in Toronto, and it was really cute. And me and my cousin were like up in the nosebleeds, and at one point in the concert we were like, "We love you, Hilary," and she looked up and she was like, "I love you guys," and I was like, well, now my life is made and Hilary Duff loves me. But specifically my band was My Chemical Romance, because I was an emo kid and I loved them and I loved their storytelling, and I liked, I don't know, Gerard's voice just like always kind of spoke to me past lyrics, like just the way he sang. And my parents didn't get it. And I petitioned so hard, like full May, like projector style, like PowerPoint presentation of being like, I know you guys don't get it, but these are all the influences of other music that you actually like. Like we have Bowie in here, we have The Who in here, we have all of these like different things. I promise you they're good. And they were like, well, if you find a chaperone that will take you because we won't go because we don't like it, then you can do it. What did I do? Found a chaperone that was like fully trusting. I was also in theater at the time, so I was around a lot of like older people that were actually incredible people, and were like, we want you to go. Like, you clearly means a lot to you. No problem. I'll sign up. The moment I said I found the solution, the solution didn't matter. And I was like, no. So I blasted MCR for like the full 2 nights that they were in London on my like CD player on repeat. I was like, I don't care if it hurts my ears, but it's going to hurt your ears too, because how dare you? And then they broke up for many years. And then I saw them 2 years ago on their reunion tour, both nights in Toronto, and it healed everything.
That's amazing.
Well, I just realized one of the reasons that I don't like that I didn't get into these is because I listened to a lot of deep house as a kid.
Yeah.
Deep
And,
house.
And I
They're like,
went-
where's
yeah.
the tour?
Exactly. So I listened to a lot of like old school electronic music, like dance hall and all of that stuff.
Well, did you ever go to like a rave with your friends?
No, because I was
Too
having
many
tea
people.
parties with my
Yeah.
I was having tea parties with my friends. Like I went to a lot of operas and musicals and museums.
Cute.
So my parents would never say no because I was always going to something that they'd be like, that's so cultured. Like, yes, we'll take you to Casa Loma. Of course, we'll take you to the ROM. Like that was my like fun summer. I still do that. This is my fun summer. On my day off, I'm gonna go to the Batashu Museum because that's my idea
I also
of
still
fun.
love those places too. Like I go there all the time.
Yeah, like our big thing when I was in high school was we broke into like the fancy china cabinet at our friend's house and made tea and put a little bit of sake in it and then M&Ms in it as well.
Oh,
That was whoa,
That's so cute. We love
whoa.
that's
that.
wacky as hell.
Yeah,
How about you, Steve? What was your first concert with pals?
I was just waiting
was
for
it
you guys
Deep House?
to get through all that.
Sorry.
I
That was
went
me and my
to
long story.
a band called Monine. You guys know Monine?
I remember Monine. Yeah.
Monine. They had a show in Brampton in a church basement. That was my first concert that I went to with a group of friends. I was in a band in high school, and we were an emo band. I was the singer, and
That tracks. That
We went-
absolutely fucking tracks.
we went to if you look at pictures of me in high school, you can tell.
Yeah.
So I went to a bunch of like church basement shows in Brampton, and graduated beyond that. But I've been to many concerts, and I realized a little too late that why do I always feel so weird when I'm at these concerts? I feel like I'm gonna die every time I'm here, and then I just realized, I've been having panic attacks the entire time that I've been going to these, because
Stifling panic
I'd go
attack.
in, and I'd stay in the crowd as long as I could until I felt like I was going to suffocate, and then I would go out and I would stand at the back for the rest of the concert, just listening to the music while all my friends were moshing and things. It just turned out I was having horrible anxiety, so
Well,
I
this is
stopped
why
going.
Yeah, this is why you need to get diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder before the age of 12, like I was, so that you just know that you're afraid of everything.
Yeah. Turns out.
Or
I'm
like
afraid
you
of
have like
everything.
your own things that you can like that help you, like your tools and tricks to be like, oh, this is gonna be too much, so I will do this instead. And
Yeah,
whatever.
earplugs and don't go near the crowd. That's what I had to do to be able to go to concerts. But also they were too expensive for me
Yeah.
to be having a panic attack the entire time, so I just decided to stop going. But my girlfriend in high school like loved going to concerts, so I went as much as I could. We went to like Foo Fighters and Alexis on Fire and all
Nice.
sorts, all these
Alex
things.
is on fire.
Alex is on fire. Anyway, yeah. So Monine is my answer. In a
Yeah,
church basement,
that's-
and I got punched in the face by accident. It wasn't on purpose, but it hurt.
Oh,
I mean,
I think I
technically,
punched you in the face.
Yeah. Oh, that was you.
Church
Like,
fest.
sorry.
You were like, "You're not from Toronto," and then you sucker punched me, and I was like, "We're not even in Toronto. I didn't say I was."
I've never been to Brampton, so
No.
Technically, like
not
during
consciously.
during the same era, I would have saw the Misfits. That was like the concert. I was going. We were like I was in bands as well, and we had this this all ages club called the Pavilion, which was basically like a utility, like concrete utility box kind of building that was just on the Commons, which is like the big field in the middle of the city in Halifax. That some promoter came and turned into an all ages club. All kinds of crazy bands came through there over the years before they were anybody, and all my friends played in bands, and those are some of the best memories of my whole high school career. Right?
Yeah. Music ties us together in a crazy way, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
you like
Except
bond.
me. Sorry.
Well, even like if you're not like going to
I went to
concerts, it
one
doesn't
rave-
have to be that, but like just like music in general. Like you found your friends because of your
Yeah.
love for like that kind of dancey vibe, right?
No,
like
I was the only person.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Okay.
Not
We would have
one.
been
If you ever
friends in
want to
high
share
school,
your
man.
favorite songs with me, please do, because I will be
Yeah.
there for you.
Give me all
The
your
way
deep,
that
your
music-
deep house cuts because I love house music.
Yeah.
Well, my brother was a DJ when I was like, he's much older than I am. So I grew up with him practicing DJing in the basement of our house. So that's the music I grew up with. So like
Sounds
that's
like the name of a 90s movie. My brother was a DJ.
Knew the way that I just sang alone in like the backyard and just like sang musicals to myself to drown out the existence that I was living.
Also, musicals are everything.
So
Yeah.
the kid though, Tyler's house, by the way, like this Forest Hill house that Tyler lives in, I had band practice in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that house is very recognizable as like a GTA, like suburb, rich kid house.
not GTA. Like we're talking like Richmond Hill, Forest Hill.
No,
like,
there are
while we're on
areas
this
in
subject,
Huttonville.
we're on the border of the 905. Not
Can I
quite the
ask you guys a
905.
question about this, because the geography doesn't make sense to what I know about Toronto. From when they're sitting on the roof of the house and the view of the way the CN Tower is, the CN Tower
license, Jason. It's to make the image look nice. It's to make
they should be on the island. Are they on the island?
No.
Jesus Christ.
They are
No,
not
I
on
think
the
it
island.
actually like it's I get it. Like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, is it accurate?
Yeah, if
Maybe
you want to
not.
have an
But
accurate
it
skyline,
makes
it's gonna
the
look like
entire
shit.
thing feel still like, oh,
You
this
also-
is exactly where we are, and this is the shot that I want to see, and these are like
Okay.
the balancing acts of like
That's
an
what I
artist
figured.
having to
You-
like draw it and
you-
make it look good.
You also have to remember that when Toronto was good, and there weren't a whole bunch of
Before
buildings in the
Gotham,
way,
yes.
you could actually sit on a roof of a thing and like see a beautiful clear like shot of like skyline and
Yeah.
like see the CN Tower the way that you can only see it from the island. Not quite that way, but like you could see more of that.
There weren't all
You
the
can't see
buildings and the tall
any of that
condos and
anymore.
whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
it's all condos.
this city used to be so small, like I can't, like tiny little thing.
Which is perfect.
Um,
And that's how they represent it in the movie too, right? Like it does feel like, yes, big city, but small enough to have those beautiful little moments. It's nice.
So the
Yes.
period allegory.
I will say
About
if we're bringing up puberty back, because I will say this one thing and it's amazing. You know when she's like playing dodgeball after she's like calmed herself, and then Tyler says something stupid because of course he said something stupid.
We all
and
knew it.
her we all knew a Tyler, and like her, like she gets like the full panda arm and like soccer throws that entire dodgeball into his face. Horrible, crazy rage power. I am not a strong person. I don't work out. I don't have muscles. But when I raged as a teenager, I could break things very quickly. Like there's something that like is so internal and that like takes over you. It's like those moms that you see who can like lift a car because like their kid is underneath it. It is that level of energy. And I'm like, thank you for showing that.
Cass
That's
has a
nice.
secret panda inside.
It's not secret.
Yeah,
It's out here.
That
all the
red hair
time.
is not fooling anyone, Cass.
Yeah, my
Yeah, we
Tyler.
We know you're
all the
part
time.
panda. Yeah.
My Tyler kept bugging me, so I punched him in the face and threw him against the wall, and then chased him and kicked him.
Yeah.
I had a Tyler.
Sometimes you just got to be like, listen.
He
that
used to tell
sucks
me
to
that
suck.
nobody liked me, and then he would get a bunch of people to agree with him, and I was like, oh.
I might have
Monster.
been Tyler, so let's just move past this.
Grossest
You
possible.
are Tyler?
Yeah, Jason, if you didn't have a Tyler, you are the Tyler. That's
Yeah,
the
That
I
means
believe
that
it.
you also love Four Town, though. So maybe there's like, we got the secrets out.
I
See,
liked
one
the
thing that I-
Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and the Spice Girls, and it was
Okay.
very like had a lot of repressed stuff. And I used to like I was a class clown who was. I thought people liked me, but I would also find the kid that I could bully, and then
Of
I would
course.
get bullied. There was a
Yeah, you're
there was
jerk.
a
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
was
you
a
were a jerk.
circle of bullying.
But that's
One of the
okay.
things
Like you can
I-
be a jerk and then grow out of being a jerk. It's like that's the growth, right? Like that's what we all have to deal with.
And
And hopefully
Tyler
most people do.
Tyler grows up in this movie. He becomes part of their friend group when they all sort
Yeah.
of figure each other
And he
out.
learns his lesson too. He's like, whoa, someone actually stood up to me. Why did they do that? And is like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I was being an ass. Maybe that was on me.
Yeah, he's got rich
You-
kid energy, which is like he.
Yes,
never
Yes,
lets anybody
that's
say
okay.
no
So
to
that
him.
was the point I was making about the Forest Hill house, because that's still in proper Toronto. That's still a 416, but that's a wealthy area. You're like Richmond Hill, Forest Hill area. That's the house, and like he's the bratty kid that like grew up, went to University of Toronto schools, and then never was able to socialize properly with humans. Like that's like I know that kid. But like one of the things I really like about the Tyler character is that he's Jamaican and Vietnamese. And I think that's just like like you get a lot. You don't see a lot of like mixed race like kids like that in movies.
Yeah.
Like not like that. Like you get
It's very specific, yeah.
yes,
And you also see with him too, like the traumas that have been passed on to him and why he is the way he is too. Like every
Do you think
kid
he's
is like
gay?
still. I don't know.
I think
maybe.
there's some queer coding going on there with just like the implication
And like the
of him,
defensiveness and like the kind of
but also
put on mask.
yeah, I mean he's got stuff that's going on that's making him be shitty, which
Yeah.
you know I know what that is like. But also like, you know, at the end when he's weeping just like they are because he clearly has a crush on one of the Four Town members as well. Maybe not the same type of crush, but he definitely has a type of crush going on.
Either like wants to be him or wants to be with him, and we don't.
Yeah.
It's not clear. We
Also
don't have to
possible
know.
that-
That's okay.
It's also possible that he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he's gay or not yet. He's also growing
Yeah.
and learning about himself the same way that she is. So it's possible
Yeah.
he's gay. It's possible he's not gay. Who knows?
I like on this watch, I was like, oh, I guess that's he's also figuring himself out, but like I got a little more of like the queer coding, right? Like
Yeah,
or
there's
just, like,
an implication.
he puts on this typical masculinity even with like the Nelly band-aid and whatnot, but like he doesn't
Just so cute. I love that
There's
little
like
detail.
there's little small things that I was also picking up on this watch that I didn't really notice the first time. Like when they all hug him at the concert and they let him go, he immediately starts to like fix his hair and his headband and stuff to make sure that he looks exactly how he wants to look. He's full weeping during the concert. He says, I love you, man," to like one of the specific boys.
So cute.
There's definitely
And so-
some implication going on, but
and even if it's not queer coding, it's just like having to put on this air of masculinity, but like you know it's just a shell. Like we know the
Actually-
patriarchy lets men down, and that when they try to do that, they're jerks.
It was also
Tyler-
really nice to see like the friend group, like all the girls like hating Tyler before this. And the moment they have that connection, they're like, what? Oh my God, we love you so much. Like you are very much welcome into our little fan group. It's
the
cute.
Tyler that I was referring to earlier in my life, after like him being kind of shitty to me, he invited me to his birthday party and I didn't understand why. I was like, I thought this motherfucker didn't like me. And then it turned out that a bunch of people who do like me were getting invited and they told him to invite me. And then his like entire attitude changed after that. And he thought I was cool or whatever. But when I went to his house, I went into his bedroom and he had a million Spice Girls not action figures, dolls. I was like, oh my God, this kid.
So he's like a legit Tyler.
He's a
Yeah.
legit. He is. Yeah. He's
Did
I
a
love
Domee Shi go to
that.
school with you as well? Like, was
Yeah.
that the Tyler?
It was this exact kid. He wore a Nelly Band-Aid and everything. No,
That's so
I
funny.
just remember being like not off put, but like shocked. I was like, oh, okay. This guy's making fun of me and telling me everyone hates him, but he's got a secret Barbie collection. Can I
Yeah,
use
he's
this?
Projecting
Can I use
projecting a
this to my
lot.
Dad
advantage?
told him that like his dad made him feel little. That's why he was
Yeah.
picking.
He was also little. He was very little.
Okay, let's not. I'm sorry. I don't want to psychoanalyze this poor kid. I'm sure
I don't
he's
want to.
a
Yeah.
man.
He also.
I
we
hope
became,
he's doing well. And
we became
grew, and
friends.
That's awesome.
We became friends after this. So like,
Cute. I
I
love
didn't.
that.
I didn't dislike him after a while, but at first I thought he was the worst. So yeah, he was Tyler in every way. I don't want to say his name just in case he sees this one day.
That's
You never
fair.
know. Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna know if he's the only man that you know with a
With a
Spice Girls
extensive
action figure.
Spice Girls action figure collection.
Bro, you doxed him.
Yeah, doc.
His address is.
Yeah, and a sin.
It was a fun
Bad
birthday party.
guy.
We made individual pizzas.
Oh, those
That's
are
a
the
fun
best.
birthday.
But we
I'd
also
like to-
watched The Exorcist, and it was scary.
Oh
Oh,
my
it was
God.
that night. Whoa.
It was in the 8th grade too. It was in the 8th grade, or it might have been the 7th grade. One of those.
Which is about, the way
Also, they
these
say
kids are
grade 8
age-wise.
in this movie. They say grade
Yeah.
8. They don't say 8th grade, which I appreciate because grade 8 is
Grade
a very
8.
Canadian thing to
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Domee Shi told a story that scene where Ming is hiding in the trees because like she's checking to see if Mei has pads. Like, you forgot your pads when like the security guard is running after her. Also,
Nightmare.
no Canadian school had a security guard in 2002
No,
downtown.
That didn't
No.
exist.
Not a thing.
That's new.
That's
It might have been like a school crossing guard, maybe. Like if you had like your recess person who like also like did whatever, but it wasn't a security guard.
Also, shocking lack of references to 9/11, considering it was 1 year ago.
Sorry. So,
I
Domee
guess
Shi's
too,
mom,
but probably like just not relevant to the story.
Domee Shi's mom
I was
actually
mostly
did
joking.
that. She hid
Okay.
behind a tree just to check in to see if she was okay. So it wasn't the pads thing, but like
No,
that
it
is
was the
something that her
helicopter
mom.
parent.
That is something that her mom actually did, which I think is hilarious. Just to like, are you okay? Just like checking
My parents
in.
have done that to me, like fully done that to me.
Oh, my parents don't care.
The sequence is heartbreaking because I
That's
thought
why,
when,
like again, like different experiences, right? Like wild,
I thought this
wild.
when the mom comes in and she's like, she gets
Sorry,
mad at May, and she walks past her. I thought it was going to be that thing, and that's like, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. And I thought there was going to be a change where May is now, you're a grown up, you can do what you want. I thought that was going to be the dynamic. What was super heartbreaking is her walking over to her best friends and being like, I knew you were trouble all along. That hurt me. And I never
And then
had
like
that.
hurt
I
the
never
friend
had that.
group, like severed ties from all
Yeah.
angles for May. Like now she's alone.
When she
Sucks.
turns into her, when she has that moment where they're like, tell her, May, like you orchestrated most of this. Like
She was too
you
scared.
wanted to make the money for us to go. And she turns into her mom and hugs her. I was like, man, that is like, I
Yeah.
never experienced exactly that, but I know like that feeling from that era of just being like, you got to do what you got to do to not get in trouble almost.
Yeah.
It was really like when she's saying like you took advantage, like she's saying to the girls like you took advantage
Especially
of me.
Barium.
I've seen this with particular parents, like, and Ming does it earlier as well, where it's like I trust May, it's them I don't trust. Like that's something that like I've definitely heard. Like, oh no, I trust you. I don't trust them. And it's a very common. That's like it's a ridiculous way to like shift blame and to like. I don't know what kind of 4D chess that shit is, but like
It's like I think it's just a parent like not being able to accept that their child isn't perfect and isn't able to be both a baby and an adult at the same time.
Well, this is
like they're learning and they're like, no, this can't be. It's like full denial. Must be
this,
someone else.
This is the crazy shit here is like the kids are also children, and it's like Ming can't see that the friend group are just young girls the same age that May is, and these judgments that she's making, and like there's something about there's something about the thing that I forgot that I was talking about.
It's okay. I have something to add on, and like maybe it might trigger it back for you, but talking about like seeing like your kid as either like adult or baby, and there's kind of like a little bit no in between. And like I think Ming thinks a lot of May's friends as like bad influence adults, but she also treats May like both a child and an adult at the same time, to the point where when May is like really frustrated with herself, she's like, I'm an adult, I can handle this. And you're like, you're 13. Who told you that you had to like be able to deal with all these things? This is the first time you've ever had to have this level of like weight on your shoulders. It should be confusing. It should be hard to deal with. And parents kind of forget that sometimes. Like they forget what it was to go through heartbreak or like betrayal for the first time.
I remembered. And then I forgot again.
No, oh, sorry, that's on me. My bad.
No, that's not you. At all. Right? I'm tired. I woke up early. I've had a long work week. I got accolades today at work though, so that's good.
Congrats on your accolades.
The closer like that Ming tries to hold, like she's so afraid of losing her bond with Mei because of what happened when her panda was released, and so we find out that the mom's panda was released because her mother, Grandmère, did not approve of May's dad.
Yeah,
that's such a classic. Like, I don't approve of your partner, and like
they wouldn't have approved of anyone, to be quite frank about it.
And so like and then we find out that maybe put a pin in the astral plane where we meet her as a kid. But yeah, so she's so afraid of that dynamic falling apart the way that her mother and her did, that she's like holding on to her so close. And there's a scene in Bao. I'm gonna ruin Bao. It's 7 minutes long. There's a scene in Bao where she does not want to let the little dumpling, the Bao bun, like leave with the girlfriend that the Bao bun has, that she eats him.
Yeah.
And like,
Spoilers.
Because can't let go.
exactly, and
It
destroys.
has to protect. But
And now he's
destroys in
gone.
the process. Yeah.
Gone. And so like that's a very like extreme version of like how Ming is kind of suffocating Mei with this fear and this anxiety, this intergenerational trauma of I'm going to lose my bond with you, and it's so special that like we can't, like it's a fear that the mom has, and
Because
she's
it all
projecting
comes
it.
from a place of love at the end of the day. Even like with the grandmother as well, who clearly has like passed this on to like all of Ming's sisters and then now on to Mei. There's so much
I
love
love
there.
the aunties. I know
I
those
love the
aunties.
But like it's so nice. And I will say, like, going back to the whole, there's like 2 moments of this whole ritual that like really stuck with me. The first one where Mei is having the ritual done to separate herself from her panda self. And she sees them being ripped in 2, of Mei on one side and Panda on the other. And Mei just looks back through the portal and just sees her panda so scared. And she's like, no, I'm not letting go. That's me. And I need that back. Says no. And the second time, after the big Godzilla mom moment, where Mei actually gets to see her mom as who she was in that time and was able to be there for her instead.
Yeah.
And then having it go into like at the end, it's like Ming has like a little Tamagotchi of her panda and she's feeding it and nurturing it. And I'm like, I wonder if even that in itself is like
She's nurturing
a
her inner
symbolism
child.
of like, maybe you haven't fully accepted, but you are doing the work to like make this relationship with your past self okay again. And it's just really beautiful to like have it also tie into the Tamagotchi in the 2002.
It really is. And it reminds me of the conversation that we had last week with Barbie, where like women aren't allowed to take their toys with them after they're girls.
And they should be it. I got like
here-
my little stuffed bunny on my couch over here that like travels with me all the
I do
time.
not want to look at what's over there.
I saw it.
I saw a lot of Barbies last week when I was watching.
No, I showed you one shelf.
Yeah. I showed you one shelf because that's what I have, and you were like, check this out, check this out. After the show, we were sending each other an action figure.
But I just quoted
It's
Homestar
important.
Runner. That's another very 2002 moment of me. But yeah, so like that's feeding the inner child, right? And that was the astral plane thing that I wanted to talk about, was when they're doing the ritual and all of them are in the astral plane, and because they've all released their pandas to try and help the mom. Ming is a teenager and she's like, my mom, I'll never be good enough. I'm tired of being perfect. My mom will never like me.
I do have like the full quote because I wrote it down. This is something that hit me so hard.
I'm gonna go look at some of the toys over there.
Do your thing. The line is Mei talking to her mom Ming in like full panda form, and she says, "Sorry, I'm not perfect. Sorry, I'm not good enough, and sorry, I'll never be like you." And also at this point, I will say, still full ugly crying, sobbing, because of someone who has done some inner child work, because it's, I think, just good to look back and connect with who you actually were from the beginning. These are all actual core beliefs that kids are given. Sorry, I'm not perfect, core belief. Sorry, I'm not good enough, core belief. Sorry, I don't fit in, core belief. That like something happens to you in your life, and whether or not it's intentional or not, even if you're a perfect parent, you're going to give your kid trauma because that's just how life is. The human experience is not easy and not always forgiving.
The cat experience, though, is pretty freaking good.
Right, exactly. That's why I want to be my cat Luna every day. I'm like, you're perfect and lovely and can be a demon whenever you want.
I had a black cat named Luna. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Sailor Moon also. She guides me through my life all the time. But no, it's really interesting that like in that specific line, they just decided to be like, yes, every single thing that a kid can feel not good enough is like such a big one. And there's like this impact that Ming has where like she finally actually sees her daughter trying to be herself. And then going into the ritual, having younger May talking to each other, and they have this whole moment of like, I think Ming says like, the farther you go, the prouder I'll be.
Mhm.
And like in that moment, it's like, oh, the healing has started. Like she actually sees you now, and you're not just a kid, and you're not just a perfect little being. Like you are your own independent human. So like, please continue, and I'll just support you wherever you need me. It's lovely to see the growth.
Yeah,
Sorry, that was a monologue. My bad. But
it's okay.
No, that was
I think it also, illustrates how she does deeply care for her family. And even though she's having this rebellious streak and trying to, oh God,
nice.
and trying to respect her parents and her mom and her grandparents' wishes, she's also forging her own identity. But she's still very protective of her family. When she freaks out at the party, she's freaking out because Tyler has essentially talked shit about her family, and she turns into the panda and attacks him, right? So,
and she still loves them too. Like it's not like they're forgotten. It's just now she has multiple things that she loves, and that should be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should be.
All right.
This movie this movie made me realize some stuff about myself and my childhood that I didn't really think about. I'm pushing 40 now, it's stuff you don't think about. I haven't thought about in almost 30 years.
And then it hits you like a wall, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, because when I first started watching this movie, I didn't realize that it was 2002. I didn't.
You didn't clock that?
I didn't clock it until I didn't know that going into the movie, and then suddenly I realized when she pulls the Tamagotchi out, I'm like, wait, whoa, and then because it's not a movie that like the identity, it's not like watching that 70s show where the identity
where
of the
it's
show
very
is
much
kind
that.
of they're making references to the era. There's just things in this movie that are of the era, and it really brought me back to grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, and thinking about what it was like to have these independent groups of friends. And then on top of that, I'm sitting here as like a white dude, and I'm seeing these experiences from a person of color's perspective. So I'm disconnected a little bit, but then I'm brought back in to the like realization that like not only am I like reminiscing on times past, but I'm learning about what it would have been like
on the other
at
side
that age for little girls, right? And of that era, and it's probably like the pressure. I can't wait almost for 20 years from now when we get them turning red of this time. And it's centered around like seeing like the body image standards from like social media. There's going to be like the social media version of this movie that's going to happen in the next 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah,
well,
it'll take place during COVID. And it'll be turning red
everybody's
too.
like working like their school from home, and
Remote.
like it's really isolating, which is I do not feel like good for those kids. It breaks my heart that they had to be separated, but I also safety first, but like that sucks to have to go through all these things.
I hate corporate speak and stuff, but they're kind of in the corporate world, they're pushing for people to come back to the office, but somebody made a very good point about it, and there's a whole group of people graduating from university and college who have never had to go to an office, and now that they're being thrust back into that, they've already had a career job for a couple years, and they're expected to go into an office and try to like parse out what it's like to have that dynamic with other human beings in an office setting.
That's tough.
But because of COVID, and because they were in university and college when they graduated, they did all work from home. So I can see a benefit of that. If we're going to go back to that world, like I'm never going to be on the side of like, if you don't need to work from the office, you should be allowed to work from home. Just universally.
Also, people are more productive anyway. So like whatever.
Yeah. But if you're going to be forced to go back to the office, I can see how polarizing it could be to suddenly now you have to go interact with human beings as like a 20-year-old after
dealing with something like
years.
that.
Yeah, and people in school going and getting their first jobs in the real world who were in high school over Zoom. Like it's crazy. Back in this era that this movie takes place, it was very much ingrained in us that like you get your high school job, or you have your high school group of friends, and it's all you're pushed to be social. So it's a little bit different back then in the context of this movie. But that's why I'm interested to see a movie that's like this. Yeah.
I will say though, Jason, like going back. Oh, hopefully I didn't get booted. I hope you can still.
No, you're here.
I might be booted though after I make this point, knowing the trajectory of how this has happened so far tonight. Going back to your point of like seeing like maybe a new version of Turning Red in 20 years, and like body image issues and like social media and all these things. It was really kind of interesting that body issue things were not touched upon in this movie. I'm happy they weren't. But like being a kid in the early 2000s, we grew up with like Twiggy and like heroin chic is what they called it. Of like everybody being like tiny, tiny, tiny. And that was
it's coming back.
And I know it's coming back full circle. I know. And like, that's the thing. Any trend is like, just hate your body and we'll sell you more things so you don't hate yourself anymore.
You're skinny now? Well, we like a little bit of weight now.
I know. And it'll constantly shift because they won't be on top of insecurity.
It's just going to be much harder for me to exist trying to explain to people that I actually don't mind being a lunchbox. So,
yeah, that's fun. Like bodies are bodies. Like I love a lunchbox. That's so cute.
Yeah.
They also have like best fashion. You could be like, oh, colors and like all your fun stuff. But I will say like the only moment that I saw of it kind of in this film was when like clearly May and her friends are not the cool kids. Like they're just living their life and doing their own thing. And when May is found out as like being a red panda by like clearly one of the popular girls with her little butterfly clips and whatever. And she's like stereotypical, like blonde, blue-eyed, white, like full little cute moment. I'm like, of course you're the popular kid. And that's the only real glimpse that we saw of that. It was still real, but it wasn't touched on too much to be like a point. And I kind of like
that group was the mean girls group, but they didn't really bully these nerdy girls.
It's because in downtown Toronto, no one bullied anybody. We were all
also girls' washrooms are a sacred place. We take care of each other there.
Middle school was not like it's not like it's portrayed in regular movies. This is a much more accurate portrayal of actual life. Like
you're just off with your friends and you might interact with another group of people who are bullying, but a lot of movies from this era, it's like
really deep diving into
no, but I truly believe that like I've heard stories of American schools and like urban schools and like communities that are much more like not as culturally diverse.
At that point,
like
that's a different world.
So like I thought that this only existed in those like Fast Times at whatever high, but like people have told stories about this and I'm like, wow, that's not my experience growing up. So this is like a Canadian Toronto experience of it, which
like Degrassi Junior High, like the 80s version is very accurate as well to like what I experienced in my middle school and high school. It wasn't there weren't like there were niche friend groups, but you could intermingle and like move around between groups and have friends from it's not like there were just like those are the bullies and those are the losers and those are like the that's the chess club and the AV. Like that's not how there weren't clear cut lines everywhere.
But that does exist in some places. I think it's just like the Toronto experience is just a little bit different. I think that's why this movie speaks to us in a different way than it may speak to people who grew up in not the best place in the world.
Right.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. We rule. Everyone else doesn't rule. All right. Well, I
think that we could probably go into sort of the last.
We've kind of touched on everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
last
sorry. The body.
sequence.
No, I had one last thing. So the body image thing that you were talking about. The one spot that I saw it at was the body changes when she turns into the red panda and she's
And she
grabbing
grabs her
belly.
stomach and she's like
Yeah.
And then like
bloated.
her bum is all like she's actually like wagging her bum and like things are just shaped differently. And
Yeah.
so that wasn't like a body image, like a fat thing. That's just like when you're going through puberty and your body changes and it
Also,
starts
like
to
period, you're
smell
like, I'm
differently
bloated
That's what I was saying
today.
earlier.
I
feel
feel
differently,
gross.
and you
Like,
gain
everything is-
weight as a like you gain weight
Yeah.
or you lose weight or like your body chemistry
It's
is
just
changing.
different.
So there was that like that I feel like I'm in a monster's body that felt like the body
It's
image moment.
foreign.
And that I
Feels-
really understood. Like I never had weight problems when I was younger, but I did have like a why is my body suddenly doing things I don't want it to do? Why
Yeah.
is this happening? Like
Yeah.
serious.
And her
Like,
frustration with it was so real. Like, just like that, nah, like just stop. Like
when they
it
told
won't.
me in school, like my mom told me, like, yeah, this is a thing, you'll have a period, it'll be fine. And then in school, they were like, for 3 to 7 days. And I went, 3 to 7 days?
Yeah.
Every
I thought it
Sometimes
was
it's
one-
longer.
I thought it was one moment. I thought you just,
Yeah.
and that was it. I like
Oh,
freaked
that
out.
would be
in
a
this classroom.
dream, just to be
I-
like, I went through this horrible thing, never again. You're like, no, every month for like the next 30, 40, whatever years of your life, you're like,
My doctor told me I had
Great.
I had a
Awesome.
7-year window. So it was fine.
Yeah, it still freaks me out when I think about it. I feel really bad.
it's
for you guys.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Well, like I never really, I guess this movie does have a big period allegory, right? And it's
Yeah.
not something that I ever really talked to about with my friends. Like my mom barely talked to me about it. She gave me an anatomy book. We had to go to that one health class where my whole life came crashing down.
Did you have to
Um,
see the birth video? Because like I still
No,
have
that
nightmares about
wasn't-
that.
I remember that
was-
one. Yeah, I
it's
That
remember
was
it.
Skim much later on.
The miracle of life.
See,
Oh, it was
as
horrible. It was
Canadians,
horrible.
As Canadians, we're lucky to get sex education at pretty young.
At all.
Oh,
At
I got
all,
pretty
we're
good.
lucky.
Sex ed, and that was also crazy because I went to a Catholic school at the time. But I had a really cool gym teacher who
think
was
it's
like
mandated,
actually
like,
hip,
we have
and
to
she
learn
was
about
like, "I will tell you things. Don't tell the other teachers that I'm actually giving you real information."
You were being groomed. No,
mean,
I had a
No, no,
Oh, God.
she was actually cool. She was like,
No, no,
taught
no,
us
I-
about
that's-
condoms when we
that's
wanted
what
to
the
teach
crazy people say.
abstinence and all of that. Yeah,
I
exactly.
had a thing where like a friend, we built a snow fort and we were in the snow fort. My friend was like, "Here, this is what happens," and it was wrong. It's like a man pees in the girl, and then literally that was grade 3, and then
Like,
grade
no.
4, like 1 year later, they told us, they showed us the videos, and everybody was like, you know, like giggling
course.
about it. But by the end of it, we were all just like we all went white, and we were just like, "Oh my!"
You're like,
God.
"Oh, that's happening to me, and I don't have a choice about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
in grade 5, I was like, "Mr. Wembley, it happened again."
But like, so we never really
Or Mr.
talked-
Wembley.
we never talked about it. There's like, I think it's very known that like periods are like, if somebody sees a pad, which is one of the most sanitary things that you can have in your bag,
Literally
they're like,
called
You would have to hide
it's
it. You
just
would have
like-
to like sneak away to the
and-
washroom
and,
with your
like, they even-
backpack, being like, "Nothing's happening. Just don't look at me."
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
lots of-
why?
like lots of girls get their period in grade 5, 6, and 7, and none of
Yeah.
like 5, 6, 7, 8, and none of those washrooms are equipped for with period like the receptacles that they have in like public washrooms, adult washrooms, none of that. So
didn't
you had
have
to like roll up your pad, put it like take like a paper towel in with you, like roll
Yeah.
it up, like put it in your sleeve, like
Try to like
dunk-
bring
dump
things in
it
a
in the
pencil
thing.
case and like hide it behind your back. 'cause you're
And then they
leaving-
had that like tissue that was like silent. That was like the whole thing. Like this pad is quiet.
like
so
even
that
the
no one
girls
knows
can't
in the
know that you're
bathroom.
dealing with
like,
it.
Shh. Like you can't hear it in the other stall. Shh.
That's
Keep
weird.
You know what's crazy though is that like as a person who clearly knows that this is all BS at this point, like I know that this is just a bodily thing that happens to women. I still have moments like if I'm in the washroom and I just got to do what I got to do and I like have a pad or whatever, I'm like, why am I being silent about this? Who's gonna care? Also, we all deal with this. Stop it, brain. Like it's still in there somewhere. Like it was so aggressively taught that I still have to talk it down every time of being like, What are you doing?
Deep shame. So
Deep shame.
I feel like
Deep
men
shame.
did that
I was
in a roundabout way, you know.
Yeah.
So I was working in a store and they had like a pail, like a little like garbage can for pads and period products, and it said on it like not for paper towel. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? I threw it out and wrote period products. And bought like
we don't have to
proper
be secretive about it. Like,
yeah.
Also, I take things literally. So what do you mean by that?
And I put tampons and pads free in the bathroom. And like, I don't care if the guys see it. Like, that's not what it's there for. Ignore it.
Also, if you need one for something else, like there are useful items to have.
Yeah, if you're bleeding out,
like
you can
easy bullet wound could possibly help
flesh
you.
wounds.
Like,
so I carry a Barbie like case. So it's like my mom case, and I have like everything in it that you could possibly need, including pads,
Advil,
tampons,
Tylenol,
alcohol wipes,
tampons.
everything.
Yeah.
And I had it, and somebody was like, "No, like you can't carry that." And I'm like, "I don't fucking care." Like, hey guys,
So what do you mean?
guys, surprise! I'm a person of like childbearing age. I have a period.
Yeah. It's
really
wild
weird.
that it's like that, like shameful even to like just us to each other. Like,
Truly,
why?
Like,
Why?
I remember when I gave a fuck, and now I
They're all
truly
gone.
do not. In fact, like when I was in a dark past, when I was an athlete, they were like, "You can't be a woman. You have to be stronger than a woman. No womanly things." And I got my period in the middle of a thing, so I free bled the fuck out of it because I couldn't go to the. I was just like, "Fine, you want me to go to the bathroom, be a woman? I'm a free bleed all over your shit. How about that?"
Sucks to suck. It's real though. That is like our version of rebellion.
Jason,
though.
you
Like
might know
I get
what I'm
it.
talking about.
I do. It was
So-
me who you free blood all over.
Huh?
But also,
It was
nobody's
me
gonna help
who you
you.
free
and they're
blood all
gonna-
over.
Well, it's like
That's
I didn't.
It's wrestling adjacent.
no,
Yeah.
I get
What were
that.
you
But
saying,
it's
Kat?
like, if they make things like that, like with that many barriers, I get it, Stephen. We're doing our final thought moment. I get it. We're late.
We can keep talking about periods for another 20 minutes.
No, that's funny that Steve chimed in to be like, let's all stop talking about her periods because that.
No,
what
it's just 'cause
what
it is
a
like-
male,
A while.
Well,
Sorry.
the movie's called Turning Red.
right? And I'm an idiot. I'm dumb. Okay, like I'm smart, but I'm kind of dumb. And the whole time I'm like, I knew this movie was like a coming of age movie about young girls, and it's called Turning Red. But they kind of hit you over the head with it a little bit for only a moment, and then
a moment.
They don't harp on it, right? And
It's about
I
other
messaged Steve, and I think I messaged Cass as well when I was watching it. I was like, "Oh, it's a metaphor for periods," but that comes and goes very.
And we were both like, yes, Jason. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
You didn't message me.
Good job.
Sorry, no.
I would have been like,
But-
let me tell you a little thing about periods and free bleeding.
That's exactly
Yeah.
why I didn't message you about it.
And then it would
because
be
I
like
didn't
4
need- I didn't need
paragraphs
an essay.
Okay.
Whoops.
I knew I was going to get the essay. I was going to get the verbal essay on the show. This has been a very fun month, and it's. I feel like I've grown as a person, a little bit. I was saying last week about how I'm a reformed or an attempted reformed man-child sort of vibes, and this has been therapeutic to sort of hear different perspectives for once, because
It's just
No,
my
it's
four
good.
times.
Gundemonium.
And also, like, if you're not surrounded by it, of course, like you're not gonna know. So
That's
here
what
we
this
are. We
podcast
can
is
talk
for.
about it.
It's so that we can help Jason grow as a man.
I think
Just for
Yeah.
you, Jason.
Jason, I think I
important.
may still be a man child. Like
Well,
I have.
you're allowed to be because you've.
I think that's just also like child. Like I still have like my action figures. I have my like stuffed animals. I've got like my little Pokédex that I still like is still working and functional. And
It's
sometimes
the
For you-
still part. I
for
bought these
context-
yesterday.
Oh my god!
I will still buy them today. Like if I go in and see something, I'm like, that's coming home with me. I just bought. Sorry, this is side topic. I love American McGee, and he does the Alice games, and
Yeah,
he
the
had like
Alice
the
game.
rabbit that he
Yeah.
made. He has like a plush store that he runs now. But he has like the Alice rabbit, and it was in its last moments of being on the store, and I was like, well, I'm buying a $60 plush bunny because that means too much to me. that's coming home. So like I get it. Like you keep those childhood.
When I
things
say man
as you get
child, though,
older.
I mean my Madison has been very adamant that like women sort of take the brunt of the responsibility in lieu of men being just able to, yeah, you're both shaking your head yes every time this is brought up, and I was like, that's sexist, and I mean well, and I feel like there's a little bit of a sexism towards it, but then she started sending me these like reformed man child like TikTok accounts where the guy's like, yeah, men have this problem where we don't realize it's happening, and if we're gonna foster growth, we have to stop letting our female spouses take on all of this like weird responsibility that is just ingrained, like bills, like just dealing with the like if you get an email from your fucking condo property manager about a thing,
it's like you deal with that. But you don't mean it on purpose. I get it, but this is like important to have the dialogue so you can grow together. And you can be like, I didn't mean to be a bad person, and I don't want to be, so I'm going to be better than that.
I'm not a bad person.
No, I'm saying
I know what you're saying.
Seen that way, right? Like, I don't think you're a bad person. I don't. I wouldn't be friends with you if I did.
But the thing is like the thing that I didn't realize was happening. I thought Madison, because she's type A, she just took that stuff on because she likes to be.
We were taught to do that.
But women are taught to do that, and we talked about that during Barbie last week, and what Noel was saying about how like men get to keep playing, and women have to stop playing and start child rearing. That's an eye-opening realization that my eyes didn't even need to be opened. You know, I just needed to hear it a couple more times to really realize how shitty dudes can be. And I've always considered myself feminist. I was raised by a single mother. I was, you know, I've said a lot, like my group of friends growing up was like
sounding like Will Ferrell from Barbie. I'm the son of a mother.
So,
I'm the mother of a son.
I'm a niece.
Some of my friends are Jews. Yeah,
we can't do it again.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna drill down too far into it. Obviously, I just want to let everybody know that I've been going through some growth.
That's good.
That has been uncomfortable outside of my comfort level growth that I didn't expect to go through, and I think that more people should, like, literally, if you are a man who has issues with punching walls, get therapy. I'm not that person.
Also, everybody should be getting therapy no matter what.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And that's sort of my point. Like, if you have any sort of inner anger or rage or stuff you can't work out, get
something wasn't taken care of, and you need to take care of it yourself.
So, one last thing. I have an anxiety disorder. I think, like I mentioned that I doxed myself on it, but I have an anxiety disorder.
We're gonna start calling you the Doxic Avenger.
I love it. The period Avenger. I only work once every.
The PMS Avenger,
yeah. Okay. So I was talking to my doctor about it, and she was like, okay, so like in your environment, are people around you anxious? Like, is your partner anxious? And I'm like, no, he's the least anxious person I've ever met. I don't know how he goes around the world and it's just like, everything will work out. And she's like, said every woman ever. And I went, oh, snap.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, that I'm the most chill dude ever, but now that I'm taking on like some of my wife's responsibilities, the anxiety is starting to mount a little bit. You know,
it's like, also forgiveness, right? Like, you have to like forgive past self and like continue to grow, and like don't hold on to the shame. This whole movie is about shame. Don't hold on to it. It doesn't serve you. You let it go, you forgive, and you grow. That's it. That's awesome.
Into a panda.
Into a panda.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys in sort of like a theory corner situation. A sort of a theory corner.
I heard you.
What do you think?
Nice. You nailed that sound, Stephen.
What do you think in reality is happening? Like,
what?
Right now?
No. If you subtract,
what is reality?
Like,
really?
If you subtract the fantasy from this, where like we've already kind of covered that, like she's going through her coming of age, her getting her period, hitting puberty,
Yeah.
like a ton
Everything,
of brick.
yeah.
I
Sexual
truly
awakening,
think that all
period,
of this
growth.
is real. The way that they framed it is like there is no way that it couldn't be, at least maybe to my brain. Like obviously they were still rebuilding the Sky Dome after all of this happened. So clearly there was
That's what I
mass
mean, yeah.
destruction that happened. So I think it's all just real. And it's just like we have a little fantasy moment where magic does exist. And like, yes, these things are happening. Yes, does it also happen to tie in with femininity and puberty and periods? Yeah. It's also kind of the point with like the red moon, like once a month, every 30 days. That's very like on point and symbolistic, but like, I don't know. I think it all happened. I believe it.
It did. It definitely did.
For moi, a movie where that all happens to Mei Mei, and she keeps it all on the inside and just sneaks out and does stuff and slowly like drifts apart with her mother, and then at one point like they have a big blowout and like they have to go to like a parent therapy and they hash it out like that and work through some of their problems and have to rebuild the sky dome of their relationship is a much different movie.
Yeah.
So this is a magical realism of like a very difficult, emotional, traumatic like relationship and situation in your own body. Like your own body is letting you down. And like your everything that you know, like your grasp on what is you is going. And that's what puberty felt like for me. Like, who am I now? So,
I think that's also true too. Like, this is the gift of animation, right? Is that like we can deal with really heavy topics that are like too big almost to try to sit down and talk about. And if it's too real, it gets like real sad real quick.
Yeah.
Right? But like
I mean,
you can use these little like tips and tricks and like kind of make it like a little bit funny or a little bit silly or like cute. And you can then translate these messages so much easier to your audience.
Basically what you were saying, Noel. It's like, how do you tell this story without it being a downer and a drag? It's like, oh, we'll have a big colorful panda and then a big Godzilla fight at the end with lots of fun boy bands and music and lighting. It's like, just make it a production, make it fun, and then you've got your tale of metaphor, allegory, and morality all kind of wrapped in there as the delicious center to make it satisfying, right?
Yeah. And I think that pretty much covers the movie, right? Like the end is that big sort of fight. The aunts come back. They all reveal their pandas. They pull
I love the little hair. How each one of them had like slightly different, like stylized, like fur, different sizes. So cute.
I think that like the unfortunate reality of this is if they ever decided to make a sequel, you would lose all of that metaphor. But I mean, you could probably tell another tale with
that's what I was thinking
that you could deal with.
Meg's going into
I mean, or she's going to college and she's dealing with all sorts of other things. You could maybe get
she's
even
got
more
her
heavy.
own kid.
Oh no,
she's a millennial without a child and she's trying to raise a dog.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Good luck.
And how does a panda raise a dog? You know, there's
yeah.
Let's go into our sort of I almost said death now, so that's where my head's at.
I think what you meant to say was, what's the Home Alone of it all?
What do you think the Home Alone is? The Home Alone of it all? Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone of it all? I really gotta know. When is the Home Alone of it all? What is the Home Alone of it all? Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
And a happy New Year. This is, of course, the segment of the show where we sort of boil down what I think ultimately it's like what this movie means to us, like the sort of sequence or the chain of events that sort of makes the movie. It is based off of the idea that, like, in the movie Home Alone, Kevin McAllister does slap down a blueprint to literally create a series of traps for the burglars. And when I was a kid, I was like, man, that is the part of the movie that I came here for. And that's what this
all started now.
Yeah, that's what that's what this death knell sort of encapsulates. So just like the beginning with our brief history, the guest has free reign to go first. And since Noel has been here for a time in memoria. Let's have Cass tell us about her Home Alone of it all.
So cute. I have, I guess, two. I think this movie is like, it deals with a lot of things. So there's kind of like two moments that stick out, but they're different. The first one is Maine coming to the Daisy Mart with May's pictures that she's so ashamed of. And like that initial crack of like distrust of mom, that broke boundaries with them. That was not, I think, ever healed until maybe the end where it could start healing. I don't know. It was so intense and so horrible. And I've like been in a situation like similar to that where I'm like, oh, this embarrassment will stay with me for the rest of my life. And that sucks. And then the other one is after May has like been full panda and her friends, like they do their beatboxy thing. And they all just decide at the same time to be like, you know what? Nothing else matters. We want to see these boys in concert. This is Fort Town. Like nobody can stop me. Mom can't say no. Even if she does, we'll figure out a way. And I think both of those like had their own little maps. That's it. Those are my Home Alones.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How about you, Noel?
I have tiny books. I got a Goosebumps. And I got a Burn book.
Hey.
Tiny bookshelf.
Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
I really never know what to say for this part. I liked it when she turned into the panda willingly.
Right.
Okay.
That was cool.
For me, I mean, the entire sort of premise of the movie is when she turns into a panda. So I think that the first time she turns into a panda, when she first sees herself in the mirror, that's when the movie takes off for me and turns into what we think of when we think of this movie, which is panda person.
Panda man.
So while she's turning into a panda, the one thing of the Fort Town on the fish tail who turns into a sushi in her nightmare.
Right.
Is one of my like the most cursed visuals, and I love it so much.
It's like a Freaky Friday moment where like they have like the nightmares and switch bodies. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I was similar to Steve with mine at first, but I think I'm gonna kind of go a different direction and more to the like the heart of what the idea of the Home Alone means to me. And I think that whole sequence with Kaiju Mom starts to show up while they're at the concert. And then when everything sort of starts to come together during the final battle, and we get the like what I consider to be the climax of the movie, where it's like everybody starts to like get May back on track. The friends do the beatbox bit, the boys come up on top of the rubble and start to sing, and then we get that final sequence. That was my Home Alone of it all for this one.
Cool.
Oh,
cool.
I just say one thing. So, can I get a theory? So, red pandas are not actually as related to pandas as they are to raccoons.
They are much. They are, and also Toronto raccoons.
That's exactly where I'm going with this. Toronto raccoons, Raccoon City.
Yeah.
I remember when the Toronto Zoo got red pandas when I was a child, and it was a big
love
deal.
red pandas.
It was a big deal.
Red pandas go like this, though. That's like their
when
thing.
they play with the pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too much for me.
We went to go see them the year they got them. They're like, we got red
No
pandas
way.
now, and then they took our class took us to go see them.
Pretty raccoons.
They are. They're
Yeah.
just handsomer raccoons.
Is that your theory?
Yeah, that this whole movie is
It's about
extremely
raccoons
current.
because
It's
Toronto.
about-
It's
yeah.
just an advertisement for the Toronto Zoo.
Well, Tim C's right.
Yay!
It's almost
the
time.
game.
It's almost time for the greatest game in the history of game shows. It's the time for the MPAA.
It's time to play Guess the MPAA.
Lucy.
Hello and welcome to the greatest game show in the history of reality. My name is
clear your
Jonathan. My name is
Oh, I don't like
Jonathan.
that. Lemmy, I don't like it.
My name is Jonathan Trash Panda. And tonight we're going to play the MPAA rating game. The rules are simple. Of course, every single film in the history of film, not everyone, but most of them, have been rated by the MPAA, which of course means that they're given a certificate rating based on, rated R, rated PG, 13, rated G. Okay? That has nothing to do with what we're going to do here tonight.
Oh, man. Such a long intro for something that doesn't matter.
Right? It's so stupid. It's dumb as fuck, and I love it. But what we're going to do here tonight, folks, is there's a 5-digit number that's given to each one of these movies. I guess after a certain point, there was a time when...
Oh, God, would you get on with it?
Jason, it's 5 numbers.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the first 2 numbers. I just need you guys to give me a number between 0 and 999. Now, there's a change this week, okay? Instead of two times around, we're going to do 3 times around. And the reason for that is at 2 times around, we've gotten so close. And this week, I've actually loaded a sound for if somebody gets it correct.
Oh, God.
So... it's not going to be a horrible noise in your ear, but I'm hoping that we have the first ever, we get it correct, and Tim knows what I'm talking about. Tonight we have it, okay?
You're going to curse us. No, none of us are going to get it.
Hell yeah. Well, Cass, since you just said words to me, you go first. So, well, give me a number between the first 2 numbers.
Yes,
which
give me the
doesn't
first
matter.
2.
It's 5-3 because
Okay.
we're in the year 2022.
3 numbers?
Higher or lower. Yep.
I'm going to go 359.
No, it's higher than that.
682.
Steve, lower.
450.
Cass, lower.
Okay, I'm going to go 425.
No, higher.
You might get
446.
Steve, lower.
433.
Cass, lower.
it. 426.
No, higher.
430.
Steve, higher.
Oh, my God. I have 2 numbers to choose from, guys.
50-50, baby.
32.
We have a winner.
You are all fools in the number game. Only I can be victorious.
It's finally happened. It's finally happened. And I think
Can't
that
believe it. I only have one thing to say. Wow.
Wow.
Everyone. The MPAA. Wow.
Wow.
I can't believe you guys got it, but I think that this whole time, if it was 3, there were times when we got that close, and I was just like, nope, game's over. Well, congratulations, Steve. You get to be the co-host of this podcast forever.
Next week?
Yep. Next week and the week after that, and the week after that.
Thank you.
If I had won,
giving,
I have had to be on the show week after week.
Noel did it 4 times, and they're like, I'm good. I'm tired.
I think if you won, your prize would be never having to be on this podcast ever again.
Say what now?
Your prize would be never having to be on the podcast ever again.
I'll speak to that. I have words. I'll wait till the end.
I would also like to announce that, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility after this month that you might have a second guest appear sometimes.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like it.
Yeah, 4 people was good if everybody's able to talk like we are. There were times when that wasn't the case. But with that, let's go on to our final thoughts. And
it's time for our final thoughts.
The rules are simple. My name's Jonathan Turning Red. The rules are simple.
there's no rules. Just like at the beginning, of course, the guest goes first. Cass, you've been on the show now, I think 8 times, 7 times. You know what to do. Give us your final thoughts. And also if you want to give it some sort of rating, whether it be a number rating or a completely nonsensical rating, you know, we're here for it. So
I love it. My final thoughts on this movie is this movie is something that hit me when I didn't think it was going to. And I'm very thankful that it did. And it's why I want more people to see it. But the whole vibe that I really got from it, and this is just based off of my own life experience too, is seeing a kid learning about themselves and giving them the space to do so. It's so easy for parents to be scared or be overbearing or also like be almost like distant because it's too much. But kids need to be kids. And they don't need to be an adult once they turn 13. They don't need to learn all these things. They will eventually. Give them time. Let them flourish and like support them. And if I were to give it a rating, I would give it a 5 toe beans out of a paw. That's my rating.
That's great.
How many toe beans are on a paw? Is this some kind of mutant paw?
I figured 5 out of 5. I don't know.
There we go.
Hey, Lucy, show us your paw.
I gotta look.
It's too far.
Noel, how many toe beans out of toe beans do you give it?
I give it this one awesome bow bun squeezy toy out of.
I don't know how to explain how much
I'm so hungry that thing is making me like
right
more hungry. I want to eat it.
So hungry too. I really like this movie. I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I think like I get something a little bit different every single time. I'm a giant fucking elitist Toronto piece of shit, so obviously I love that part of the movie.
Right.
It feels nice to be seen. Yeah, it's honestly we talked about a lot of heavy shit today on the pod, but the movie's actually super lighthearted and fun. Mm-hmm. And I think we may not have conveyed that, but like I could put on this movie.
It's so
and,
cute.
Truly not think about it and just like watch a cute freaking little panda run around, and it's the most adorable thing. And this movie can be viewed as just like a lovely story and like a beautiful spectacle of like pastiche of animation styles from the past like 50 years. So I give it 5 ancient Chinese rituals out of 5.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Fantastic. I got you.
And 1 bao bun squeezed.
I also will say, sorry for a quick moment, I think there were like 3 aunts and then grandma and mom. It's 5.
Sorry.
Whoa.
5
well,
rituals.
I guess I'm gonna have to give it 5 ants out of 5 or whatever.
I had a premonition that this episode was going to go exactly the way that it did, and then it did, and I couldn't be happier. This is one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Yeah. How about you, Steve?
I agree with what you just said, but my final thoughts are, I think this movie is so strangely specific to the time that I grew up, the area that I grew up, and completely represents the type of people that I grew up with, that it's a movie that's made for us. And it's so strange, but I feel like a weird sense of ownership to this tale, even though the character is going through something that I've never gone through in my life. Turning into a panda is what I'm referring to, obviously, not other stuff. But that too, you know, I was able to see this story through a lens that I'm not necessarily first person perspective to, and I can appreciate it. And, you know, I get a great sense of empathy and understanding of the character. We forgot to mention James Hong. Love James Hong. He's
yeah.
I hope that he does a million more voice acting performances before the fateful day that he's taken from us and goes into
He's the priest, right?
Yeah.
The shaman?
Before he's taken to the panda dimension.
The incredible actor.
Also in Kung Fu Panda.
So good.
He's all over the panda movies.
Isn't he in like the Kung Fu movies? Like,
I don't know. He's in Kung Fu Panda. He plays the
Maybe
dad. He's a duck.
There's another kung fu movie though, like that's I can't remember what
Sorry,
it's
we
called, but he was like
stepped all over you.
the person. Continue. We'll find it. But
It's
do your
Feminist
thing.
Month. You guys are allowed to walk all over my outro.
Okay.
It's fine. I don't care. Yeah, no, I think this movie is great, and I would recommend it to everybody. If you don't feel connected to it, you probably will if you watch it through to the end. Even if you're some shitty old white guy who's like, this movie didn't speak to me. Yeah, well, just watch the Godzilla scene at the end, and you'll love it. I'm telling you. If I was to give it a rating, I would give it a completely intact necklace to contain my inner panda, but in a good way, or maybe a Tamagotchi that I can interact with my panda with.
Cute.
A very good device. Yeah. Thank you.
Essentially, this movie actually surprised me. I couldn't believe what I was watching for most of it. That in a very like wholesome, very down to earth, very like connective tissue way. I think it's very relatable for everybody, and it is a very good cap for this particular month. A story like this can be taken at face value, puberty, or even for change of life. I think it falls into the category of family movie with some stuff for the parents, which I mentioned earlier. I really loved the soundtrack. The fake boy band and the score are both incredibly good. The score we didn't really touch on, and we don't have to like dial down into the score, but the little like score moments throughout the movie, I thought like that hooks me when I hear that, and it's good. You know, when I go to a musical, like when I saw Wicked last weekend, and the songs were good and the production was good, but like the story, I didn't like connect with the story that hard. And when I saw Cage of Fall, the songs were like objectively bad in my opinion, and then I saw the movie, and without the musical, the story is incredible. Like the Birdcage is an incredible film, and the story of the
Cage of Fall is amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the
also love Wicked though. So
yeah,
I don't. Sorry, it's a different podcast.
That's okay.
There's a new podcast we're rolling out in the new year. I'm a four townie for sure. I'm a four townie. I love the animation style being sort of like anime meets stop motion. Like I said at the beginning of the show that it kind of reminded me of the Leica movies without being stop motion. But if Leica had gotten this property, I think they could have done an equally amazing thing with it. It just would have taken 7 years for them to make it. This probably was churned out in 3 comparatively. I give this
no one dies in this movie though. Leica movies, people die a lot.
People die. It's all about the afterlife a lot of the time. Except for
I also don't know people in that stadium in the Sky Dome. If they didn't get out of the way, there was probably death.
When that Four Town sign fell onto the stage,
Panda Mom ate like 5 people before
at least
where they put the panda away. Yeah.
Or
We
like
didn't talk
on people in traffic on the way to the sky.
True. We didn't talk about it, but like the way the mom was like slow, the accuracy of like her in slow motion, they kind of do it with when Ant-Man goes big. It's rare that they show a character who goes big being like slower. I really thought I appreciated that. I give it a 4.2 out of 5, which is a really high rate. It's a higher rating than I thought that I was going to give this movie. Honestly, like I didn't think that I would like connect with it that much. I was incredibly surprised. Remind me, how many aunts are there? I gotta do some quick maths.
4 aunts and
it was 3. No, 3 aunts and a grandma.
Oh, I don't
4
know.
aunts and grandma. Are there 7 pandas total?
So sorry, 3 aunts, a grandma, the mom, and Mamie.
Okay, I give this 6 out of 6 generational red panda women.
Sun Yi.
I give this the ancestor. I give this 7 out of 7 generational red panda women.
Whoa,
sweet.
That's a perfect score.
The perfect score.
So before I get to our plugs, I just want to very quickly thank you, Noel, for coming on every week.
Feminist
Masterpiece Theater. Noel was the person that kind of invented this concept
ironically in
Feminism?
the movie during during the movie Last Action Hero,
I
Noel was
invented
like,
feminism. Yes.
is this feminist masterpiece? And I would like to thank you, Cass, for providing the voice of the intro video. I'd also like to give I'd like to give a shout out to B. Dolly, Caitlin. What's Caitlin's last name? Claussens, and Tatiana Ramos. Fantastic guests. Each episode, I think, better than the previous. That's not to discredit the previous guests. I just think that this month had a trajectory, and this was an excellent main event for what we were trying to convey during this month. As a man, I found myself sitting and listening more often than not, which like I don't disagree with you.
How painful was that for you, Jason?
It wasn't. I'm trying to say that like I think that men need to sit and listen more often to women telling their stories and expressing themselves. You know, I think that
Also,
there's a
if
lot
people like it, I would love to do this again. Like there are so many movies that I would love to talk about. There was like I told you, like a list I was trying to choose from, and I'm sure we all had that. So.
Well, I will say that like
you that was me spamming Steve and Jason with every feminist movie I could.
Yeah, we have a list.
I mean, I felt bad. I was like, this one, but this one. I was like, sorry, it's a lot.
I mean, there's a kind of an intersection of like our best episodes have been this month, but I think this show has reached a zenith in its current iteration. So it's kind of like we've done our best episodes during our highest viewed era, and I think that as we continue to grow, this concept will just always be a kind of a feather in our cap. We got the grimoire of familiar killers, and we got feminist masterpiece theater, and I think those are great sort of cornerstones to have on a movie roundtable reaction review podcast sort of thing that we do. I'd like to thank everybody who's come through, like all of the people, all the guests that come through our chat. I think that we've had a lot of different people come through and chat with us, which I think is very important, and I love that. So thank you everybody. Cass, do you have anything that you would like to promote? Do you have any plugs? Do you have any messages for the world?
I don't have any plugs currently, but I will say, thank you for always having me on, and thank you for like uplifting all these stories. It's really nice to have people in the chat too saying hi. So, take care of yourself. Look inward sometimes. Might be painful, but do it. It's worth it. It's my final message.
Absolutely. I love that. How about you, Noel?
Normally I'd take this moment to plug my other podcast, or the podcast that I'm actually on, Stick Taps and Stitches, the hockey podcast. The Stanley Cup finals are over. We do other things, though. Come check us out over there. It's way less feminist, I promise. It's a bit hacky, but I just wanted to say I had a lot of fun being on this whole month. I would like to thank Jason and Steven so much for allowing me to be weird and shitty as their third Hollywood square over here. So honestly, it's been a blast. I'm absolutely surprised you guys kept me all four. So thank you. And I really liked being on the show. It was really fun. You guys have a great concept, a great saying fun movies. You listen to me, which is crazy, and then like you have pretty cool guests. Pretty cool people who interact with it, and amazing guests. It was really cool. I was a little scared at first because I was just like, what if the women don't connect? Then what the hell is this podcast going to be this month? Yeah. But that's it. Honestly, turned up perfectly.
Imagine episode 1, you like get into a fight with the other woman on the show, and then just like it's the most.
It's all canceled immediately.
Yeah,
I was pretty confident it would work out, but yeah.
Me too. I would talk about this for like a year beforehand too. Right?
But I was coming in to
I understand the fear as well. Yeah,
the nerve wrack is real. I get that.
I was like the one woman who had to be here. So so thank you both very, very much. I really had a smashing time, and I loved being here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. How about you, Steve? Let's hear about what you got boiling up.
This Sunday, I'm going to be on Trivial Debates again. This This time we're doing cryptids, which is interesting because we also just
Sorry, what are you cut out? What are you doing?
Cryptids.
Monsters, Bigfoots, Loch Ness monsters, unicorns, that kind of stuff.
Fairy tales.
Fairy tales.
Mothman.
I don't want to give away any of my answers because that's the whole point of the show, but I have some pretty good ones this time around, and I hope I win. I came in second last time when I did Disney movies. And other than that, check out Darth Theorist, the YouTube channel that I'm on. It's pretty cool. We're almost at 500,000 views, which is nice. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and share and like and comment. It's fun. I like doing it, and I would like to do it forever. But that's it. That's all I've got.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. I've listened to a bit of Darth Theorist, and it's cool. It's a good idea. It just to sort of compound to what you're saying. Marvel has the What If series of comics. These creators have created a What If for like Star Wars, which is you don't niche out more than that. And the Algo fucking loves Star Wars and loves asking what if. So go check them out. For me, you can catch me here each and every week on Hey, Did You See This One? We are rapidly wrapping up season 2. There's some big things coming out. I have launched a Redbubble for some merch. I'm gonna pop that up on social media over the next couple of weeks. Season 3 is coming as well. That's going to be kind of a retool of the show, so look forward to that. You can also find me every month at Super Kick Pro Wrestling here in Toronto. I announce live. I'm the announcer for that, and I've been getting more unhinged because I don't care, because I just have learned that the audience likes it when somebody gets in front of them and says some out of pocket nonsense. So
everyone loves screamy yelly guy.
It's true.
It's true.
I've just been quoting memes now. That's
okay. People love that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're joking or not, but they do.
No, I do. I do mean it. Like, don't overthink it. That's
Jason,
like
exactly
the trap that you get in as a host. Don't overthink it.
Next month, Jason, go up and go, I'm in me mom's car. Vroom, vroom.
Yeah.
Get out me car.
Beep, beep.
So good.
I'll sneeze and everybody will get it because they'll remember sneezing panda. But that has been Hey, Did You See This One for this week. This wraps up Feminist Masterpiece Theater. Stay tuned for next month when we reopen the grimoire, but not in the way that you think. Some pages have been torn out, and we have found those pages and we've stapled them back in or taped them. I've used spit on one of them to put them back into the grimoire. That might cause Satan to rise. Hail Satan.
It will happen.
So are you telling me that
it's the duct tape's fault?
With 7 hours till the show, you're going to ask me to watch a Jason movie?
It might be. We'll see. We've got some guests coming up in the next couple of months that it's like, kind of like, I don't know these people that well, and they're hard to get a hold of. So, stay tuned, Rogues Gallery. You might be asked to come in.
Yeah,
also, I also might
anytime.
Ask. We're not going to do the four-person format every single week, but I might ask some of our regulars like you, Cass, Noel, Tim, Alex, those people that have been around a lot, and let's be real, do big numbers for the show to come on as a fourth. Oops.
Yeah, check out my hook episode.
Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys. And I think that you guys know what to do. There's just one question that needs to be asked each and every week. Would you guys like
a countdown?
4.
You know what?
4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, did you see this one?
In a world where society tells you to doubt your strength, question your intelligence, and dim your light, we search for voices to tell our stories. Voices to empower us,
uplift us, and keep us heard by the masses. These are the voices of powerful, resilient, and talented women who aren't afraid to speak up and speak loudly. Women who teach us to be brave, to be vulnerable, and to believe in ourselves. So, Hey, Did You See This One? Invites you to Feminist Masterpiece Theater.
Well, there it is. I played the whole actual theme instead of playing just the theme. But I think that's a good bookend. Steve, say something. Steve, say something like "out of pocket." That's super funny. It's super. I know it's easy.
Did you
Waka
guys?
waka.
Did you know that? Did you guys know that a period is when the uteral wall is shedding inside of your body?
Oh my god, what?
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, Did You See This One? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.